Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Fell from Masked Idol? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Naruto woke to the screams of adoring fans outside his window. He swung his legs out of bed, closed the blinds to hide himself from the paparazzi, and padded down the hall toward the kitchen. A misstep on the stairs sent him sliding until he managed to catch himself on the last step. He landed on the floor and gasped that he had almost died, then brushed himself off and continued to the kitchen. There his manager, Jiraiya, was flipping through a newspaper. Naruto popped some bread into the toaster and greeted his manager. Jiraiya flipped the pages and explained that he wanted Naruto to attend high school. Naruto feigned hurt at the suggestion, then asked why. Jiraiya said it was because Naruto had not been to school since someone close had died, and he produced a bag from beneath the table. Naruto asked where the uniform was, and Jiraiya produced it while Naruto watched the butter melt into the toast. Naruto sighed and went to put on the uniform. A limo carried Naruto through a crush of fans to the school. Jiraiya added that Naruto would get his schedule in the administrator's office that morning. At the school, Naruto told Jiraiya not to hit on any girls, and Jiraiya wished him good luck before Naruto was swallowed by the crowd. In the administrator's office, Tsunade reacted loudly to his appearance. Naruto gave her a crooked smile and mentioned he had not known she worked there. Tsunade pushed his schedule toward him and told him to take it and go. Naruto left with a mischievous thought that this was his only chance to have fun. In the hallway, Naruto scanned the schedule and searched for his classroom. When he could not find it, he leaned against the wall and noticed a girl with long silky raven black hair, lavender eyes, and porcelain skin who looked fragile and shy. She smiled faintly. When Naruto realized he had been staring, he jerked his head back, bumping the wall and rubbing the sore spot. The girl hurried over and asked if he was okay. Naruto answered that he was, and she relaxed into a relieved smile. When Naruto asked where D33 was, she nodded shyly and said it was her class. Naruto asked if he could walk with her, and she agreed. As they walked, Naruto asked if she knew who he was. She acknowledged that she did but said she did not care whether someone was a famous actor or singer. Naruto thanked her. A large group of girls then pushed the raven-haired girl aside and crowded around Naruto for a moment before he slipped away. Naruto glimpsed a sign that read Class D33, Kurinai-sensei, and avoided the crowd to slip into the classroom just as the bell rang. The teacher remarked that it was nice to see him arrive on time. Naruto noticed the raven-haired girl already seated with another student beside her and took a seat behind them. A girl with short pink hair introduced herself as Sakura Haruno and identified the raven-haired girl as her shy best friend and frequent housemate, Hinata Hyuga. Sakura proposed that they eat lunch together at a small picnic table beneath a cherry tree behind the school where they would be alone. Hinata nodded, and Naruto agreed to meet them there. At lunch, Naruto found Sakura skipping up and Hinata perched quietly on a branch. Naruto sat across from Sakura while Hinata remained on the branch. Sakura asked about his celebrity life, and Naruto admitted that he hated it. Naruto asked Hinata how she had climbed into the tree, and Hinata replied that she had simply climbed up. They talked through the whole lunch and then went to their last class of the day. After school, Naruto lingered in the library for no particular reason. He heard singing and piano from down the darkened halls, and walked toward the music room. The rain tapped against the windows while an angelic voice drifted through the corridor. Naruto stood before the music room and slowly pushed the door open. Hinata sat at the piano in the empty music room, trying to decide what to sing for her next YouTube upload. She thought privately that, although she had many followers for her covers and original songs, she was not known by her real name. When she sang, she wore a mask that covered her face and performed under the name Murasaki. The name hinted at purple, something most people in America did not notice. She began to sing one of her favorite songs by Eros to Athens. The lyrics flowed through her as she played at the piano. Sing me a symphony, one for the lost out in between city of fallen dreams, a city of angels. There was a girl with a sky full of stars in her eyes, chasing a world that moved too fast and left her behind. She had run for days until the days became years, Hope faded and a smile turned into tears. Now there were lines on the face of the girl with the stars in her eyes. Sing me a symphony, one for the lost out in between city of fallen dreams, a city of angels. The door opened slowly and Naruto Uzumaki appeared. She squeaked and quickly hid the purple mask with the small purple flower and golden stitching beside her. She backed away from the piano and her bag of recording equipment, startled to see him. Naruto asked if she had been the one singing just now, and she became very flustered. She denied it, grabbed her bag, stuffed the mask inside, and told him the recording had been on YouTube before she bolted from the house and ran out of school. On her way home she ran into Sakura, who looked confused and asked if she had finished recording already. She shook her head and dragged Sakura back to her house. Once inside, she blurted out that Naruto had heard her sing and would know who she was now, then collapsed onto the couch. Sakura tried to calm her, reminding her that Naruto was a famous pop star and that he would not necessarily be watching YouTube. She pleaded to record and post the video every day, and Sakura agreed, calling her Murasaki in a conspiratorial whisper. She went into her closet, which doubled as a small studio, put on the mask, and prepared to record. Sakura counted down and started the recording. She greeted her viewers cheerfully and explained that Iris referred to the purple flower. She introduced her cover of Rising Star by Alan Walker as the background track began. The lyrics poured out. You rising star, I feel our souls are connected in a way that goes beyond this world. Riri rising star. When she finished singing, she opened her eyes and smiled, promising her viewers another upload the next day and urging them to stay true to themselves. Sakura stopped the recording, slid to the desk, and began downloading the file while she drank water to soothe her throat after singing. The video was uploaded to YouTube that night. Sakura left with a wave and she checked her phone for about an hour before finally falling asleep. Naruto's morning began with a rare moment of free time. At 9:57 he logged onto YouTube and found a playlist called The Most Beautiful Voice in the World. He clicked on it and saw a girl with midnight hair and expressive eyes, her face partially hidden by a purple mask adorned with a purple rose and golden stitching. His manager asked what he was listening to, and Naruto, smiling, held up the phone for him to hear. His manager marveled at the voice and suggested they might arrange a duet with the famous Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto grinned at the idea and relaxed on his bed, headphones on, listening to Murasaki's song as he stared up at the starry sky. Somewhere else, someone was looking at the same stars. The next morning, Naruto woke to an unusual silence. He slid open his curtains and saw hundreds of fans sleeping on the ground outside. He changed into his school uniform and thought that maybe Hinata and Sakura would want to hang out after school. Since he shared many classes with Hinata, he planned to ask her in homeroom and would ask Sakura at lunch. Downstairs he found Hinata talking with Jiraiya. Hinata stiffened and then relaxed when she saw him. Jiraiya teased him about a conversation with his girlfriend, and Hinata, blushing, insisted they were not dating. Naruto simply stared at Hinata, feeling that she reminded him of someone. Sakura and Hinata then invited him to walk to school with them, and he agreed. Naruto asked where Sakura was, looking behind Hinata. Jiraiya face-bombed and told him that Sakura was probably still getting ready and that she lived across the street. Naruto apologized to Hinata for not knowing where Sakura lived. Hinata reassured him that it was fine and that he had no reason to be sorry. Jiraiya muttered to himself that Sakura was a keeper as he walked past, told Hinata to take care of Naruto, and went upstairs. Naruto and Hinata picked up their bags and crossed the street to Sakura's house. Hinata knocked on the door and waited patiently. When they had been standing there for a few minutes, Hinata said she was going in and explained that she was Sakura's best friend and had climbed through her window before. She produced a twig, picked the lock with practiced ease, and stepped inside, leaving Naruto outside in astonishment. Hinata moved quickly through the house to Sakura's room. She closed the door softly behind her and told Naruto to wait, then slipped into the room to help her friend get ready. Naruto waited in the hallway, puzzling over what was going on. Inside the room, Hinata hustled Sakura into clothes and helped brush her hair, telling her that they needed to get to school with Naruto. Sakura complained about being tired and about breakfast, but Hinata handed her a protein bar and opened the door, encouraging her to hurry. They descended the staircase, and Hinata slid down the railing with a smile. Naruto met them at the bottom and teased that Hinata liked to be dangerous. Hinata grinned in response. As they approached the school gates, Hinata noticed Shinran glaring at her. Hinata's nerves tightened, but Sakura assured her they would be fine. Hinata forced a smile and told her friends she would see them later before heading toward the area behind the school where Shinran waited. Shinran greeted Hinata with a taunting attitude and demanded that she stay away from Naruto, threatening to make him notice her instead. Shinran then shoved Hinata and kicked at her to intimidate her. Hinata fought back verbally and tried to stand her ground, but Shinran slammed her against a wall in a harsh, humiliating display before strutting away. Hinata went to class with a slight limp, sitting next to Naruto and trying to hide her injured hands. Naruto noticed immediately and took her hand in concern, asking what had happened. Hinata lied that she had tripped, and Naruto insisted on taking her to the nurse. A few students in the room made snide noises, and Shinran began to cry loudly, accusing Hinata of hitting her and calling herself a victim. The teacher, suspecting something was off, asked for security footage. Shinran hesitated and then withdrew her accusation. Naruto spoke to the teacher and asked if he could take Hinata to the nurse. The new teacher, who was clearly distracted by Naruto's presence, agreed with flustered courtesy. Naruto led Hinata to the small clinic room where the nurse gestured to a bed by the window and asked Hinata to sit down. The nurse worked quickly and bandaged Hinata's hands with cloth bandages, treating the scrapes and bruises from the confrontation. Later, Hinata walked out of the nurse's office with Naruto following. Naruto asked again if she really had just tripped. Hinata nodded silently. When they returned to class, Shinran resumed complaining and accused Hinata of the attack in front of everyone. The teacher challenged her, saying they would check the security footage. Shinran, surprised and flustered, backpedaled and told them to forget everything she had said. As the day went on, Naruto watched Hinata closely, concerned about more than just her visible injuries. Hinata's phone buzzed in her pocket. She glanced at it briefly and then tucked it away when a notification that mentioned Murasaki appeared. Naruto noticed that Hinata had received a notification from that account, but he also realized he had not received any notification about a new post. He filed the thought away as something mildly curious and focused on making sure Hinata was all right. Hinata POV. Hinata woke on Monday exhausted. She had stayed up all night replying to comments on her My Murasaki YouTube channel, and the flood of messages had left her barely able to keep her eyes open. She crawled out of her room and collapsed into Sakura's, groaning that she could not make it to school. Sakura knelt beside her, brushed her hair, and asked if she was certain. Hinata confirmed with her face still down in the carpet. Sakura sighed, slipped her shoes on, and told her that there were donuts in the cabinet and to make sure she dressed and tidied her hair if anyone came to the door. Hinata acknowledged and fell into a deep sleep as Sakura closed the door. Naruto POV. Naruto asked Sakura where Hinata was when he arrived at school, and Sakura yawned that Hinata had been too busy replying to YouTube comments and was too tired to come. Naruto brightened and asked happily if Hinata had a YouTube channel. Sakura stopped, turned, and denied it before running off. Naruto was about to chase after her when a group of excited fangirls reached him first and called him their Naru-sama with loud, affectionate cheers. Shinran shouted possessively that Naruto belonged to her and told everyone to back off, creating a brief, chaotic scene. At lunch, Naruto asked Sakura again about Hinata's channel while eating his sandwich. Sakura bluntly denied it. Naruto glanced toward the tree where Hinata often sat and wondered aloud why she always chose that spot. Sakura explained that Hinata had always been a nature person. The conversation stayed quiet for the rest of lunch. After their last class, Naruto asked Sakura if he could go to her and Hinata's place. Sakura agreed and stepped into an empty classroom to call Hinata. Over the phone she told Hinata that school had been okay and that Naruto would be coming over, then told Hinata to hide certain things before hanging up. Naruto overheard and became curious but followed Sakura out. Sakura checked and whispered that the coast was clear before leading Naruto into an empty courtyard. They walked up to a tall building with a sign that read Hyuga Hotels. Naruto expressed confusion that he thought Sakura and Hinata lived across the street. Sakura explained that they also lived here sometimes because Hinata's family had means and they alternated between the two residences weekly. Naruto asked in surprise if Hinata was wealthy, and Sakura nodded as she opened the doors. Inside, the receptionist asked who Naruto was, and Sakura reassured the staff that he was with her and Hinata. She pressed the elevator button and they rode up to the top floor. Sakura tossed her bag onto a couch in their penthouse, which featured glass walls, a spiral staircase, a balcony overlooking the living area, a large kitchen, a flat screen, a curved couch, and even a tree inside the living room. Sakura announced Naruto's arrival, and Hinata appeared wrapped in a fuzzy purple blanket, standing nervously in the middle of the living room. Hinata greeted Naruto shyly as she wobbled toward him. Sakura invited them to sit and patted the couch. Naruto and Hinata sat down beside her while Sakura moved to the floor. Hinata, anxious, draped the blanket over her head and asked what they were doing. Sakura explained they were going to watch YouTube on the smart TV. Hinata feared they might show something embarrassing, and Sakura quickly reassured her that they would not. Hinata relaxed visibly. Sakura scrolled through YouTube and Naruto spotted one of Murasaki's videos. He asked Sakura to click on it, and Sakura hesitated because Hinata seemed uneasy. Sakura agreed but asked Hinata to get snacks first. Hinata hurriedly left the room and returned with popcorn and Twizzlers, then snuggled into her blanket and offered a Twizzler to Naruto with a gentle, shy smile. Sakura started the video. Partway through, Naruto noticed a bottle necklace with a small rose inside around Murasaki's neck and felt a sense of recognition. The video ended and they settled in to watch light-hearted content and try not to laugh videos. Hinata suggested that Naruto stay over that night, and after a moment of thought, he agreed. Naruto told Jiraiya he would be staying over, and the three of them spent the evening together on the couch watching streaming shows. Hinata woke on the couch and realized with surprise that Naruto was asleep beside her. She disentangled herself quietly and left the couch, cheeks warm from embarrassment. She changed into her uniform and found Sakura asleep on the floor, bundled under a large blanket with a few pillows. Hinata moved to the kitchen to make breakfast, deciding on bacon and pancakes. Naruto walked in and asked what she was doing. Hinata explained she was making breakfast and he nodded before returning to the living room. When Hinata set the platter on the table and called for Naruto and Sakura, Naruto arrived almost immediately while Sakura remained asleep. Hinata pulled the blanket away from Sakura in a playful way, and Sakura complained in a sleepy voice that Hinata was too light to crush her. Hinata felt embarrassed and announced that breakfast was ready before getting up from the floor. As they ate, Hinata noticed only she and Naruto were dressed. She told Sakura that she should get ready or they would be late, and Sakura hurried to get dressed while reminding Hinata not to forget the thing tonight. Hinata realized Sakura meant the Murasaki concert in the town park and hurried to grab her mask and put it in her bag. They left the penthouse together, Naruto a short distance ahead. Naruto asked if they were ready for the Murasaki concert that evening. Sakura improvised that they were busy, and when Naruto asked what they were doing she declared that they had to get ready for a party. Hinata panicked inwardly and messaged Sakura in frustration. Sakura replied apologetically that she had panicked. Naruto reacted with disappointment but eventually accepted the plan when Hinata and Sakura said the party would be on Saturday and he said he would be there. Hinata inwardly groaned, realizing they would have to plan a real party. At school, Hinata sat at her desk with Naruto behind her and Sakura next to her. Sakura said she would print invites during free time and asked if they wanted to help. Both Hinata and Naruto agreed. The teacher announced a change in the schedule and asked everyone to go to their fourth block first, then third block. Hinata and her friends walked to gym class together. In the locker room they changed into gym uniforms and stretched. Sakura nearly tripped while stretching and tried to act composed when Hinata asked if she was all right. Sakura insisted she was fine, but her attempt at looking cool ended with her falling onto her seat. Hinata and their friends laughed as they waited for the gym teacher. Coach Guy took charge energetically, joking that if it were up to him they would be running the track many times, but since the principal asked for something easier they would play indoor volleyball. He brought the net out and set it up across the gym. Hinata felt relieved. Volleyball was one of her best sports. Coach Guy announced that teams of 6 could be formed, and everyone rushed to join friends. Naruto called to Hinata and Sakura and mentioned that he had heard Hinata referred to by a nickname. He sounded worried about whether Hinata liked being called that. Hinata reassured him that it was fine. Naruto also said he had heard Hinata was skilled at volleyball and wanted to be on their team. Sakura took charge of assembling a group and noted they still needed 2 more players. Hinata called Tenten over and invited her to join. Tenten was glad to be included, and Sakura gave her a friendly pat on the shoulder. Sasuke joined them, and he brought Niji along as well. Hinata greeted Niji happily. Coach Guy assigned their group number as 7. After warm-ups, Coach Guy started the game and announced that Group 7 would face Group 8. Hinata and her teammates examined their opponents, who included Shinran, Tonari, Sasori, Konan, Ino, and Sai, and prepared for the match. Sai and Ino looked depressed, probably because they were on a team with Tonari and Shinran, the school bullies, while Sasori and Konan kept to themselves. I sighed as Guy-sensei gave the signal for me to serve. After serving, Sai was already out. He seemed relieved, and I understood why. Shinran served toward us, so I spiked the ball onto their side and got Ino out when she leapt in front of the ball. Ino hated those girls, but she sat next to Sai and began talking and laughing with him. A few minutes into the game, Niji and Tenten were out. On the other side, only Tonari and Shinran remained. Naruto and Sakura looked tired, while Sasuke and I were still going strong. Naruto and Sakura had touched the ball only a few times and their serves had helped the other team get Tenten and Niji out, but they were still impressive players. Sasuke served and struck Tonari in the head, which got him removed for injuring another player. That left Shinran alone against the 3 of us. Shinran always seemed annoyed, and today was no different. She spiked the ball hard and hit Sakura, knocking her to the ground. I ran over, helped Sakura up, and saw Shinran smirk. I glared at her and she stepped back, uneasy. Sakura sat to compose herself while I held the ball, steady and determined to stand up for my friend. I tossed the ball high and jumped, driving it down sharply into Shinran's side of the court. The hit made her cough and glare, and she was out. Naruto ruffled my hair and congratulated me on a good win as he led me back to our teammates. Tenten cheered and circled us. We all laughed and headed to the locker room to change. Once we were ready, we had 5 minutes to get to class. I told Sakura to go ahead and that I would meet her there. She nodded and left. After that, I heard a quiet whimper behind some lockers and walked toward the sound, but initially saw no one. I wandered until I reached an open locker. Someone suddenly shoved me inside and shut it. I struggled in the cramped darkness and called for Shinran to stop and let me out. Shinran taunted me, identified herself, and told me she would be back in the morning while warning me not to hurt myself. I sighed and tried to climb out, though I knew I wouldn't manage it. Sakura stood at the school gate with Naruto, waiting for Hinata. She urged Hinata to hurry in her thoughts and felt her worry grow. Hinata had missed the last 3 classes. Sakura feared that Shinran had bullied her again and cracked her knuckles in frustration. Naruto stepped back and told Sakura nervously that they should not hurt Hinata and that maybe Hinata was just having trouble. Sakura growled that it was Shinran's doing and dragged Naruto back into the school toward where Shinran and her friends were strolling. Sakura demanded to know where Hinata was and caught Shinran's attention. Shinran dismissed Hinata as troublesome and then flirted with Naruto, asking if he wanted to go to the Murasaki concert that night. Naruto stammered that he was already going with someone else. Shinran shrugged and sauntered away. Sakura and Naruto breathed a sigh of relief and hurried to the locker rooms. Naruto asked why they were there, looking at the doors leading into the female changing rooms. Sakura explained that Shinran had said she had locked Hinata up and that the last time she had seen Hinata she had been near the lockers. Sakura moved quietly through the rows and followed the sound of banging on locker doors. Sakura called Hinata's name and heard a gasp followed by Hinata identifying her. Sakura told Hinata not to reveal anything to Naruto and mentioned that Naruto was with her. Hinata pleaded for help, and Sakura and Naruto tried to open the locker. Naruto said he could not get it open. Sakura warned Hinata to brace herself, heard a small shuffle, then kicked the locker. The kick dented the locker and caused it to swing open with a clang. Hinata apologized about the damage, and Sakura told her not to worry and that they needed to get moving. Hinata hurried off to get ready and called to Naruto that they would see him on Saturday. Naruto waved back, puzzled. Hinata rushed around the penthouse, panicking as the elevator dinged open. Sakura told Hinata to calm down because the performance was in 3 hours, not in 5 minutes, but Hinata kept searching for her dress and makeup. Hinata explained that this was her first time performing in front of people and that she was more nervous than usual. She changed into a short purple dress with a beaded waistline. Sakura agreed that Hinata looked beautiful and sat her at the mirror to do her hair and makeup, looking for the curling iron in the cabinets and noting it might be in the hall closet. Sakura curled the 2 front sections of Hinata's hair and tied them back while leaving the rest straight. Hinata admired the result and reluctantly allowed Sakura to apply minimal makeup, light purple eyeshadow and a touch of lip gloss. Sakura told Hinata to put on her shoes and get in the car, explaining that her own outfit was already packed and that she only needed her pink masquerade mask. They drove to the outdoor stage. Hinata slipped on white flats and hurried behind the stage, where a guard initially blocked them until she presented her arrival papers. The guard apologized and stepped aside, allowing Hinata and Sakura in. Sakura went to change and told Hinata to introduce herself to the waiting crowd. It was 2 hours early and a lot of people were already there. Hinata looked out at the stage with drums, guitars, piano, and violins and felt her stomach drop at the sight of the crowd. She stepped forward to introduce herself to the band and discuss the set list. The crowd's cheering made her jump. There were about 1,000 people already, with more expected. She registered the fans with trepidation and then ran through the song selection with the guitarist, who asked for clarification about one of the songs. Hinata confirmed the choice and promised to inform them about the second half of the set while she set up the microphones. Sakura returned to Hinata urgently, wearing a long pink dress with sparkles and her masquerade mask. Sakura said their parents were calling and worried about their whereabouts. Hinata pulled Sakura to the side away from the crowd and instructed her to tell their parents they were at the downtown library. Sakura texted while Hinata took her place on stage. A stagehand estimated about 5,000 people were present, and Hinata felt her heart leap at the number. An announcement signaled that the performance would begin in 1 minute. Hinata took a deep breath and walked out on stage to a roar of screaming and cheering. From the crowd she spotted Sasuke and Naruto, smiling and surrounded by bodyguards. Hinata felt comforted that they were there. Hinata spoke into the microphone, explaining nervously that this was her first time singing in front of anyone except her close friend and that she apologized in advance if she made mistakes. The crowd responded with enthusiastic encouragement, cheering that she could not mess up and urging her to do her best. The applause and cheering were overwhelming but supportive, and Hinata steadied herself for the performance. The singer announced happily that she would start with a cover of I Found by Amber Run, and the music began to play. She sang about using someone as a reminder and an anchor, about moving further than she expected yet missing someone more than she thought she would, and about discovering love where it seemed unlikely, right before her eyes. The refrain returned, asking for sense and reflection, and she continued through the song with steady emotion. The crowd cheered loudly, and in the middle of the applause she met Naruto's eyes. A flutter in her stomach made her uneasy, but she kept her composure. The singer announced that it was break time into the microphone, then slipped behind the curtains and sighed. She glanced back at Naruto and realized she might be developing a gentle crush on the pop star. Chapter End. Naruto's POV. Naruto watched with a smile as Murasaki dashed behind the curtains and began to rant to a stage assistant who tried to calm her down. After a few minutes, Murasaki stepped up to the microphone and asked for Naruto Uzimaki to make his way to the stage. Naruto glanced at Sasuke, who nodded and gently pushed him forward. A path through the crowd opened and Naruto made it up to the stage. Murasaki reached out to help him up, and Naruto accepted the hand as she hoisted him onto the platform. Murasaki explained that the manager wanted them to sing together, and Naruto smiled and agreed. She admitted she was nervous about singing alone and the two of them moved behind the curtains. Naruto reassured her that he had felt the same way at his first concert, and Murasaki stopped in front of the stage assistant to confirm the set. The assistant asked if they both knew the song Kids Again, and whether they were familiar with the switching vocals arrangement. Murasaki urged them on and pushed them out onto the stage to a loud cheer. Naruto took a steadying breath and told himself he was as ready as he could be. The music began. Naruto sang the first verse about a girl who liked her coffee black because she did not have time for sugar, who left her desires at the welcome mat when she walked in. Hinata sang the next part about a boy who kept his burner on, always running without anyone to keep him warm, someone flirting with danger as his fire faded. Together they moved into the chorus, singing about laughing and crying, falling and getting high, and how, when one of them felt small, the other would get them through it all, just like when they were kids. Naruto sang the second verse about a girl who had never tried to settle down and wore her loneliness like a crown, but whose smile made all kings bow down. Hinata sang about a boy who had broken vows and spoken like a coward, yet who could listen like a rainy day and help drown out the noise. They repeated the chorus, weaving their voices together, and the crowd cheered as they ended the song with a triumphant final line about feeling like kids again. Hinata's POV. Hinata opened her eyes nervously and realized the crowd was still a blurred sea of faces, their screams muffled until she focused and soaked it all in. Naruto gave her a brief, grateful hug from the stage, and Hinata returned the embrace. Naruto said he had to head back and release the hug before jumping down from the stage. Hinata stood stunned for a moment until Sakura arrived and pulled her away. Sakura exclaimed that the performance had been amazing, and Hinata felt a wave of relief. Sakura mentioned that the concert would be on TV and that she had filmed a lot for Hinata's YouTube channel. They agreed the concert had been a success and immediately began talking about planning a party for the next day, since tomorrow was Friday and the celebration was set for Saturday. Hinata made a quick announcement to the remaining crowd that they should have a great night and stepped off the stage with Sakura. As they left, Hinata warned that fans were chasing their car. Sakura reassured her and then drove with dramatic flair, maneuvering through the streets to shake off the crowd. Naruto shouted a joking threat about not paying for the car if Sakura wrecked it, and Sakura accelerated even harder. The chase became an energetic, anime-style escape scene rather than anything dangerous, and eventually Sakura pulled into the underground parking beneath their penthouse and declared they had lost the fans. They stepped into the elevator and rode up, discussing whether people might notice their outfits. Sakura suggested keeping masks on just in case. The elevator opened to the penthouse lobby, where they had to move quickly across the room without drawing attention. A fan did recognize Murasaki in the lobby and called out, prompting Hinata to grab Sakura's arm and dash into the nearest elevator. The doors closed just in time, and the girls pretended to be practice students complaining about homework to avoid suspicion. Back in the penthouse, Hinata collapsed onto the couch and took off her shoes, showing blisters and grumbling about how she preferred to wear comfortable sneakers. Sakura echoed the sentiment and removed her heels, declaring, lightly, that heels should be illegal. They laughed and settled in. Sakura announced she would sleep and do her homework in the morning, and Hinata agreed before. Remembering she was still wearing a dress and deciding she would change in the morning since she had extra clothes there. The next morning there was a knock at the door. Sakura groaned and called for Hinata to get the door. Hinata answered drowsily, surprised by the unexpected visitor. Hina sat up on the couch and announced that there was no door, then asked who was there. Naruto appeared with his hand braced against the wall, greeting them and asking if she had slept in a dress. Hina stared at him, trying to make sense of it. A dress? She shouted for him not to look and covered herself with the blanket. If he saw the dress, he would know she was Murasaki. Sakura rushed into the room and demanded to know what had happened to Hina. Sakura stammered a hesitant welcome to Naruto while trying to hide any traces of Murasaki, including Hina. Sakura said the person would only be a second and hurriedly shoved Hina into a closet with her uniform. Hina changed quickly and emerged while Sakura was still in her pajamas. This was going to be a long day. Hinata groaned while brushing her hair and told Sakura to hurry and get dressed. She told Naruto he could help himself to the kitchen. There should be ramen in one of the cabinets. Naruto thanked her and ran into the kitchen. By the time she finished brushing her teeth, Hinata only needed to put on her shoes, eat breakfast, and pack her bag. As Hinata ran past Sakura's room, she asked Sakura to get their bags and put them on the sofa. Sakura agreed. Naruto called for 5 more minutes from the kitchen. Hinata asked him to set out some bowls and cereal while she slipped on her knee-high socks and black flats. He agreed, and Hinata breathed a sigh of relief when Sakura walked out with their packed bags and the correct outfit. Yesterday she had nearly left the house in her pajamas. Naruto set bowls of cereal on the table, and Hinata thanked him. He admitted he had eaten some of their ramen, and Hinata smiled and told him it was fine since she had offered. Sakura placed the bowls in the sink and urged them to hurry out the door. Hinata slung her bag over her shoulder and told Naruto they would be late unless they ran. Naruto challenged her to a race and took off running, and Hinata laughed as she chased after him. Sakura teased them about being cute as she ran past, and Naruto asked how Sakura could be so fast. Hinata explained that Sakura was on the track team as they stopped at the school gate. Tenten arrived panting and asked if they were late, and Hinata admitted they were. Tenten passed along a message from Sai that he had fixed Hinata's headphones, which made Hinata excited. Sakura commented as they walked through the empty halls to class that they should move on, and Hinata hurried along. In class, the teacher complained about the students being late, and Hinata acknowledged it. Sakura apologized, and the teacher sighed and told them to sit down and pay attention before returning to the board. Later, at lunch, Naruto raved about his favorite time of day while Hinata excused herself to look for Sai. She walked to the back of the school, where Sai often sat under the cherry trees drawing the blossoms. Hinata called to him and asked if he had brought her headphones. Sai handed them over and asked how they had become so messed up. Hinata mumbled that Shernon might have been responsible. Sai advised her not to let Shernon push her around. Hinata said she knew and then told Sai she was going to eat lunch before she waved goodbye and left. After school, the group gathered to admire Hinata's headphones. Sakura examined them, and Hinata explained that she had bought them herself. Naruto commented that he wouldn't wear them because they had cat ears, and Hinata added that the cat ears lit up and had speakers built in. Tenten said that was pretty cool. Once they finished obsessing over the headphones, they went their separate ways toward home. Sakura reminded Hinata that she needed to update her YouTube channel since she had missed a few days. Hinata said she wanted to but felt awkward recording in public. She suggested uploading the concert video from the previous night instead. Sakura proposed recording AQ and so viewers could learn more about her, but Hinata admitted she avoided sharing personal details because she worried people would be disappointed to learn the real person behind the videos. Sakura urged her to have more self-esteem as they walked into their penthouse. Hinata told Sakura she was going to do homework and set her bag on the desk to take out her notebooks. She struggled to understand chemistry when her phone rang. Naruto called because he was bored, and Hinata answered. Naruto explained he was calling because he found Hinata interesting. He mentioned being impressed by her tree climbing and assuming she was skilled at piano. Hinata remembered that Naruto had once walked in on her listening to Murasaki and confirmed she did play piano. Naruto excitedly told Hinata that he still couldn't believe he had sung with Murasaki and that her voice had been beautiful. Hinata blushed at the compliment and imagined how happy Murasaki would be to hear it. Naruto wondered if Murasaki might do AQ and A, and Hinata said maybe she would consider it. Naruto had to go for vocal tests and they said goodbye. After hanging up, Hinata considered Sakura's suggestion again and thought AQ and A might be a good idea, but then remembered the party scheduled for the next day. She told Sakura they needed to set up for the party. Sakura admitted she had mentioned Murasaki and that many people would likely come, which surprised Hinata. Hinata confessed she couldn't multitask well but tried to stay calm and agreed to help. They focused on cleaning and getting the decorations and party supplies ready, planning to buy extra food and other items in the morning. Hinata picked up a broom and thought that this was going to be one heck of a party. These decorations looked great. We had collected all the food and supplies for the party and were waiting for people to arrive. A few guests were already there an hour early. Naruto, Sasuke, Ino, Sai, and Tenten were lounging on the couch. Everyone else wore casual party clothes like tank tops, shorts, pants, and sweatshirts, but Hina was wearing the largest sweatshirt she owned and leggings. The sweatshirt reached her knees and covered her Murasaki outfit. Her mask stayed in her locked room, which was not very secure because someone could jimmy the lock with a penny. Sakura asked Hina if she was ready to change when needed, and Hina smiled and nodded before joining Naruto and the others on the couch. Hina asked why they were there so early. Tenten explained that they had planned to help decorate, but it turned out to be unnecessary. Ino mentioned that she did not know why Sasuke was there. Sai suggested that Sasuke had probably come to see Sakura. Sakura blushed and asked Sasuke if that was true. Sasuke blushed in response without denying it, which made Sakura squeal and blush more deeply. Hina reminded Ino that she had once had a crush on Sasuke, and Ino admitted she used to while Sai braided her hair. Hina smirked and felt the moment pass into teasing laughter. Ino flushed and Sai continued braiding in silence. Naruto asked when Murasaki would arrive. Sakura answered nervously that Murasaki was already here. Sakura pulled Hina into a corner and warned her that she could not leave the room as Murasaki and pretend to walk through the door later. Hina agreed it was a good point and returned to the group. Ino asked if they could see Murasaki. Sakura explained that it was not that simple because she was still getting ready. Ino brightened and suggested they could talk through the door, then admired her braid and ran around the penthouse. Sakura told Hina to get ready, and Hina slipped past the group and climbed out a window onto the ledges. The view was nice from up there, but it made Hina uneasy when she realized how easily she could fall and get seriously hurt. She crawled along the thin ledges toward her open window, remembering that she and Sakura had planned this earlier in the morning as a precaution. Hina slipped a little and let out a small, surprised shriek. Naruto asked what the noise was from outside Hina's door, and Sakura pretended not to have heard anything. Hina quietly climbed back into her room and landed on the floor. Hina removed the sweatshirt and leggings to reveal galaxy print leggings and a black, flowy tank top. She left her black Converse shoes on, put on her mask, and crept to her door. Hina hesitated and leaned against the door as Sakura exhaled in relief. Hina called out softly from behind the door, and the others responded with surprised gasps. Ino asked if it was really Murasaki. Hina answered that it was, and Ino rushed in and hugged Hina tightly, squealing in excitement. Hina patted Ino on the back until Sakura gently pulled Ino away and gave Hina a thumbs up. Naruto asked if Hina remembered him, and Hina reminded him that they had sung together on stage 2 nights ago. Naruto began to ask for something more, but Sakura interrupted and told everyone that Murasaki would come out when more people were present. Sakura pushed the others back to the main room while Ino confessed she had thought Hina had fallen when she screamed earlier. Hina admitted she had feared falling. Sakura asked if Hina knew what song she wanted to sing that night, and Hina suggested Ancient History by Set It Off. Sakura responded that she loved that song. They started discussing backup plans when Sakura's phone dinged. Her face went pale as she read the message. She told Hina that Shinnon was coming. Hina reacted loudly, and Sakura hushed her, explaining that they would have to handle Shinnon or risk her making accusations. Sakura agreed to confront Shinnon if necessary and told Hina to remain in the room until she knocked. After some time waiting for Sakura's signal, Hina peeked out. The main room was filled with students in regular clothes, the well-liked classmates, and a small group of Shinnon's friends standing in a corner with smug expressions. The door then burst open, and a person entered claiming to be Murasaki. The newcomer flaunted herself, wearing a wig and imitating Murasaki's persona. Her eye color was close to Hina's, but not exact. Hina recognized that only her family and Shinnon had the truly unique eyes. Sakura dragged Hina into the main room. Sakura accused the newcomer of lying and insisted that Hina was the real Murasaki. The impersonator, looking hurt, protested, and several students moved to stand beside her. Shinnon's friends demanded proof. Naruto announced that they had seen Murasaki earlier. Someone suggested that the two of them sing to prove who was genuine, and the crowd cheered. Hina agreed to the idea, though she felt meek. Shinnon, acting smug, said her voice was strained from the concert 2 days earlier, but a few people stepped forward to back Hina instead. Tenten argued that 2 days was enough rest and expected Shinnon's voice to be fine, and Shinnon stammered that she was okay. The challenge to sing set the stage for the confrontation to come. She sashayed over to the small stage they had set up earlier. The narrator announced that she would go first and chose to sing Ancient History by Set It Off, smiling warmly and causing a few of the guys, including Naruto, to blush. She had not realized she had that effect on people. When she performed, The song was full of raw emotion about tangled feelings and the need to let go. The crowd reacted, some swaying, some thoughtful, and when she finished she stepped off the stage. Sakura then offered a side hug. Shernon declared that she would sing Stay by Zed and Alessia Cara with confidence. A girl in the room interrupted to point out that Shernon was not Murasaki. Shernon groaned and walked out onto the balcony. The narrator told the crowd that she would be right back, drawing a few appreciative responses. Outside on the balcony, the cold winter breeze brushed their faces and the narrator adjusted her mask. The narrator confronted the girl about the earlier prank and the girl admitted with a sheepish laugh that she was Shernon. The narrator explained that she recognized Shernon by her eyes and voice, and Shernon confirmed that she attended the same school. Shernon, looking regretful, explained that she had treated the narrator and others poorly in the past not because she wanted to be mean but because she did not know how to communicate. She had only ever known the harsh side of things. She confessed that there was a girl she had mistreated but secretly admired Hinata Hyuga and that she longed to be part of Hinata's bright, friendly group because her own circle felt mean and dull. The narrator encouraged Shernon, suggesting that a sincere apology and a genuine smile could go a long way and that Hinata, being kind, might accept the offer of friendship. Shernon resolved to talk to Hinata on Monday and apologized for pretending to be someone else, explaining that her so-called friends had suggested the prank. The narrator accepted the apology. Shernon also warned the narrator about Tonari, describing him as a bully who enjoyed making others uncomfortable and who acted possessively toward Hinata. The narrator noted the warning and said she would keep it in mind. Shernon said she was going home to watch a show on Netflix and then left with a goodbye. The narrator returned to the penthouse, grabbed a few Twizzlers from the counter, and Sakura asked what had happened on the balcony. The narrator replied that she would explain later and hinted with a smile that everyone could expect a pleasant surprise on Monday. Hinata walked to school alone because she had to help Guy-sensei set up the volleyball court for the upcoming game and had gone an hour early. She greeted Guy-sensei when she entered the gym, and he replied cheerfully. He was struggling with the net, so Hinata told him she would handle it and began untangling and spreading the large net across the floor. Guy-sensei then asked her to hang it and, when she was finished, to fetch the volleyballs from the third supplies closet behind the gym. It was still early, with the sun just below the horizon. Hinata loved dawn for its calm and cold. She preferred the cold to almost anything. Dawn combined chill, peace, and a quiet breeze that made it easy to stare off into the distance and think. She snapped out of her thoughts, grabbed the volleyballs, and carried them back inside. After she set them in the basket and told Guy-sensei she was finished, he thanked her and told her she could leave. Hinata nodded and walked down the empty hallways toward her classroom. She felt a little nervous because Shernon was supposed to ask if she could be their friend that day. Hinata planned to say yes. People deserved second chances, even if that thought sounded cliché to her. She sat in her usual seat at the very back by the window, partly because she was socially awkward and partly because it offered the best view of the ocean. She put on her headphones and listened to music while watching the sunrise. 30 minutes later, Sakura arrived breathless and called Hinata's name. Sakura explained they had been looking everywhere for her. Naruto bounded into the classroom, alarmed that Hinata had not been found sooner. Hinata thought of the note she had left on Sakura's bed and the text she had sent. Sakura admitted she had not seen either. Naruto and Sakura worried needlessly for a moment, and Hinata realized her secret behavior probably wasn't as hidden as she had imagined. She explained she had left a letter and a text, which cleared up the misunderstanding. When Sakura asked why Hinata had been at the gym so early, Hinata explained she had been helping Guy-sensei set up for the volleyball game. Naruto asked if she planned to play, and Hinata said she did not enjoy competing. Sakura teased that Hinata preferred soft, fluffy things and wouldn't be inclined to fight for a ball, while Hinata protested she was not particularly girly. Sakura added that Hinata would defeat Naruto at any video game, which made Naruto smile. The small exchange left Hinata flushed, so she looked down at her phone to distract herself when Sakura questioned why she was staring at the home screen. Hinata said she had been looking for an app, and Sakura pointed out that the teacher was arriving. For the next class, Hinata sat next to Naruto because Sakura wanted to sit with Sasuke. Their group of friends clustered nearby, Sakura and Sasuke in front, Niji and Tenten behind them, and Ino and Sai to the side. They waited a few minutes for Shernan. Hinata had planned to act surprised when Shernan came over, though she doubted she could make it convincing. Shernan approached hesitantly and stuttered a greeting. She apologized for always being so mean and said she wanted to be friends. The group listened with curiosity. Hinata smiled and welcomed Shernan, saying it would be fine. Sakura and the others agreed, each in their own way expressing acceptance, and Tenten and Niji exchanged an approving smile. Hinata moved a desk next to theirs for Shernan. Shernan thanked her and hugged her tightly, and Hinata patted her back, relieved and happy that Shernan had become part of their circle. Class began, and the lesson passed quickly. After school, Tenten invited Shernan to the mall and asked if she wanted to come along. Shernan agreed. Sakura offered to pick everyone up and asked if they could meet at their penthouse, the same place they had held a recent gathering. Ino remembered the party, and Hinata answered affirmatively. Plans were set. They would meet at the penthouse and go to the mall together the next day. On the way home, Sakura asked Hinata if she planned to record that day. Hinata replied that she probably would, though she sounded tired. When they arrived home, the group dropped their bags and went to Hinata's secret room, which she loved. The room had 2 black leather couches, purple walls, a small bar stocked with snacks and drinks, a computer with speakers, and a TV for secret Netflix marathons. I walked to the wall and turned a small knob, opening a tiny compartment that held Twizzlers. I grabbed 2 and handed one to Sakura. Sakura asked which song I planned to sing, and I suggested Used to Be by Arrows to Athens. Sakura set up a camera and told me to get ready. I put on my mask and sat on the couch, counting down 3, 2, 1. I greeted the audience, mentioning that I had recently done a concert and hoping many people had seen it online. Sakura was urging me to begin, and I gave her a glare before I started to sing. Naruto looked at Sakura, who gave her a thumbs up. She explained nervously that the song had been Used to Be by Arrows to Athens and that, from now on, every time she posted a video she would share a fact about herself just for fun. She added, a little awkwardly, that the hair color and style in the video were her actual ones, and admitted she still suffered from camera fright even after 2 years of singing online. She waved to end the clip and used her usual sign-off for her fans. Sakura then plugged the camera into the computer and suggested that Naruto work on what she said after singing. Naruto admitted she did not know what to say, and Sakura reassured her that they would work on it together. It was Tuesday. Naruto hated Tuesdays, but at least he had his friends with him. He was still surprised that so many people liked his music but did not obsess over it. Most treated him like a friend rather than a celebrity, though a large portion of the school still followed his music closely. He wondered why Shernan had wanted to be friends with them. Naruto had agreed because she had been sincere, and because Hinata had accepted her so quickly. Naruto thought Hinata was far too kind for this world and also very pretty. He chastised himself inwardly for thinking that. Sakura snapped him out of his thoughts by shaking him, and Naruto asked what she was doing as he recovered from the sudden dizziness. Hinata appeared beside him and noted that he had been staring off into space. Hinata sat next to Naruto in every class and made a point of sitting next to Shernan as well. Shernan greeted Hinata with a hug and Hinata returned it cheerfully. Hinata mentioned that she felt cold, and Shernan suggested they ask the teacher to turn on the heat. Naruto took his jacket off and wrapped it around Hinata's shoulders when she shivered. Hinata blushed as Naruto offered the jacket. Naruto assumed it was from the cold. Shinon's former friends approached them, and Naruto watched as they tried to reclaim her. Shernan nervously told them that Naruto, Hinata, and the others were her friends now and that they were nicer than the ex-friends had been. Her former friends insisted they were her real friends, but Shernan asked them to leave her alone. Hinata stood up in defense of Shernan and made it clear she wanted Shernan to be respected. The departing girls scoffed and walked away, and Naruto noticed a firmer side to Hinata than he had expected. Shernan thanked Hinata with a smile and then the group started talking about shopping. Sakura invited everyone, and Hinata, Shernan, Sakura, and the others buzzed with excitement about going to the mall. Naruto protested that he could not go because he was not a girl, and Hinata teased him gently, patting his head. Sakura and the others laughed and insisted he would not come. Naruto decided he had nothing better to do and thought about following them. After school, Naruto waited near the mall entrance disguised as a girl. He had given himself the name Naruko for the day. The disguise was convincing in many ways, though he could not hide his whisker-like birthmarks on his cheeks. He wore a blonde wig styled into high twin tails, a spaghetti-strap dress with a gray jacket, black leggings, and high-top shoes. Naruto felt he could pass as a girl pretty well. He watched the group enter the mall. Inside, conversations about relationships and crushes drifted around him. Ino stuttered about not liking someone, and Hinata pointed out that Ino and Sai always sat together and that Sai might like her. Ino shifted the conversation to Naruto and Hinata, wondering aloud why they seemed so close. Hinata dismissed the idea that anyone would be interested in her, but the others insisted she was beautiful and kind and that any guy would like her. Sakura teased that Naruto must love Hinata in some deep, hidden way, and Naruto muttered under his breath in protest. Naruto followed them into a clothing store even though he looked out of place. He told himself no one here would ever see him like this again. The girls picked out a blue dress with darker shades and a black, thick-strap top. The group gushed at how the dress looked, and Naruto watched as they ran around excitedly. He admitted to himself that Hinata did look very good in the dress. While hiding among a rack of clothes, Naruto drew Shinon's attention. Shinon asked who he was, and Naruto stood up and introduced himself as Naruko, claiming he had been looking at the clothes. Shinon seemed suspicious but accepted the explanation and returned to the others. Naruto sighed in relief and decided it was probably wise to head home before he attracted more attention. Hinata's POV. After they finished shopping, Shinon told Hinata that she had spotted a girl who had been following them. Hinata felt uncomfortable and repeated that the girl had been staring. Shinon confirmed with a shiver. Ino smiled confidently and suggested the girl was probably admiring them, flipping her hair as she said it. The others exchanged exasperated looks. Hinata mentioned that she and Sakura had work to do and that they should get everyone home. Tenten agreed happily and skipped toward the car. Sakura sighed that the other girl could be childish, and Hinata laughed, reminding everyone that they still loved her. Ino laughed along. Hinata slid into the front seat while Sakura took the passenger seat. Sakura told Hinata that Ino's house was closest, so they would drop her off first. Ino sulked but agreed. The group called their goodbyes to Ino as she ran up to her door, and Sakura noted the next drop-off. Shinon confirmed that her house was just around the corner. They stopped in front of a sizable white and black house, waved, and watched Shinon go inside. Sakura then drove to Tenten's house. Tenten pouted that she wanted to spend more time with them, and Sakura reminded her that they had something important to do. They said goodbye again and left. Sakura asked Hinata if they should film the video now. Hinata said yes, and then pointed out that they had not given the camera operator a name on the channel. She wanted to acknowledge her without using her real name. Hinata suggested the nickname Momo, explaining it felt soft and peachy. Sakura liked the name, and they all gathered their bags and got out of the car. When Sakura asked what song Hinata wanted to sing, Hinata chose Death of a Bachelor without hesitation. Sakura brightened at the choice, and Hinata laughed. That was partly why she picked it. Sakura set up the microphone while they prepared to film. Sakura flicked her fingers to signal that she was recording, and Hinata explained that Momo had suggested she put more effort into her openings. Hinata said she would work on that after the video and then announced that she would start singing. Hinata performed the song with steady emotion, conveying a mix of loneliness, reflection, and bittersweet celebration. Her voice captured the feeling of being surrounded by people yet feeling alone at times, the tension between past comforts and future hopes, and a longing for connection. The chorus rose and fell with intensity, and Hinata poured those feelings into the performance until the last note faded. After she finished, Hinata looked at Sakura, the camera operator, and saw her smiling and bouncing behind the camera. Hinata knew Sakura loved the song and found her enthusiasm endearing. She turned back to the camera and, as part of the video, shared a second fact about herself. She attended Konaha High. She added that she might sing with Momo next time and that Momo was actually her camera operator and also very talented at singing. When they stopped recording, Sakura plugged the camera into the computer and protested that she could not sing, even as Hinata encouraged her and praised her talent. Sakura excitedly announced that their channel had reached 12 million followers. Hinata ran over to the other computer to look at the views on their first video, and Sakura teased half in jest that they might be more famous than Naruto. Hinata laughed at the comparison, and Sakura replied with a teasing smile that maybe that was possible. Sakura uploaded the video and sighed contentedly when it finished. They left the room together. Hinata suggested they go to bed since it was late and they had school in the morning. Sakura agreed, yawning and saying she would decide about going back to their houses tomorrow. Hinata closed her door, plopped onto her bed, and thought that perhaps revealing that fact had been a bit much, but she accepted it and let herself relax. Hinata's POV again. Hinata was walking into her classroom when Sakura came running up to her, kneeling to catch her breath and announcing urgently that there was a problem. Sakura explained that the clue Hinata had given as Murasaki had led a lot of people to search for someone who looked like her. Hinata's face went pale at the news. Hinata asked Sakura to find Naruto because she needed to talk to him. Very few people in the school actually looked like her, and she felt panicked. Sakura dashed out of the classroom to find him, estranged past Sasuke in the doorway. Sasuke asked Hinata what was wrong. Hinata said simply that they were having issues, and Sasuke nodded in understanding. Hinata waited anxiously as Sakura sped away, hoping the situation would be resolved quickly. Sakura burst into the classroom, dragging Naruto behind her. Hinata thanked Sakura and then told Naruto that they needed to talk. Naruto stuttered and appeared slightly flushed. Hinata explained that they needed him to perform a concert at the school as a distraction because Murasaki would be attending and they did not want her presence discovered. Naruto agreed enthusiastically and ran out of the classroom. Hinata wondered where he was headed, and Sakura reassured her that it did not matter since he would be doing the concert. Sakura then sat next to Sasuke. Ino barged into the room with Sai behind her. Hinata and Sakura teased the pair briefly until Ino fixed them with a severe look that stopped them. Kurini calmly asked everyone to take their seats. Hinata thought of Kurini as a favorite teacher who was usually relaxed but could be strict if pushed. Time passed until lunch. Someone in the group remarked that Hinata looked a little like Murasaki. Hinata realized their cover might have been compromised. Naruto then shouted that he was having a concert outside and dashed out amid the excited cries of fans. The rest of the group moved outside as well. Hinata suddenly remembered the plan for protecting Murasaki's identity and felt relieved. Naruto announced that he was dedicating the next song to his friends across the way, pointed toward Hinata and the others, and began to play guitar. He performed an upbeat, energetic song that drew a large crowd and much applause. Hinata felt awkward with so many people staring, but understood that the performance was exactly the distraction they needed. After the song, Naruto thanked everyone with his signature grin and received a lot of admiration from the fans. Hinata felt a small twinge of jealousy but told herself that Naruto probably did not see her that way. When the bell rang, Hinata walked up to Naruto, thanked him, and he reached for her hand and suggested they head to class together. Ino whispered to Shine that Hinata had a boyfriend, and Hinata hoped Naruto had not heard. Naruto looked a little flushed, which Hinata attributed to either excitement from the performance or mild embarrassment. Hinata admitted to herself that she liked Naruto but kept that feeling private to avoid a fuss among her friends. After school, Shine asked if anyone wanted to go to the cafe. Hinata volunteered, and Sakura said she wanted chocolate cake. Tenten told everyone that she and Niji were going on a date, and Niji nodded in agreement. Naruto offered to join them as well, and Sasuke agreed to come along. Ino and Sai stayed behind to work on a project together so they could finish it that day. The group set off toward the cafe together. Hinata waved as Niji and Tenten went around the corner. Everyone did the same for Ino and Sai. Shine asked if everyone was ready, and Hinata chirped that she was while walking beside her. Naruto cheered that they should get some food. Sakura cooed that it would be fun and asked Sasuke, who only smiled at her. Hinata thought they were adorable and hoped they would be more open about their feelings. Naruto chuckled that they should just get together already. Hinata giggled that she agreed, and Shine added that they were adorable. Sakura trailed off. Hinata noticed Sakura's deep feelings and suspected that Sasuke might feel the same. Sasuke said he would think about it. Sakura blushed and ran into Hinata's arms. Hinata patted her head and reassured her that Sasuke liked her and that it seemed meant to be. Sakura asked if that was true, and Hinata confirmed, adding that Sakura and Naruto seemed well-suited too. Sakura protested that they were just friends, but Hinata teased that Sakura's blush suggested otherwise. Cheyenne laughed. They arrived at a cafe called Sugar Coated. Hinata admired the bright blue walls, large front windows, picnic tables, and high stools along a shelf. Cheyenne asked everyone to take a seat and said she would order cake and drinks. Sakura insisted on chocolate cake. Hinata quietly asked for Mountain Dew. Sasuke said he would take whatever, and Naruto requested ramen before taking a seat next to Hinata. Hinata sat across from Sakura and Sasuke with Cheyenne at the end. Hinata prompted Sasuke about asking Sakura to be his girlfriend. Sasuke looked confused, and Hinata urged him to ask. Before Sakura could respond, Sasuke asked Sakura to be his girlfriend with a smile. Sakura stammered that it was sudden and hid her face, but Hinata encouraged her to say yes. Sakura mumbled yes while hiding her face, and Sasuke hugged her. Naruto pretended to cry at how sweet the moment was. Cheyenne sat down and asked what had happened. Hinata showed her the recording of the moment, and Cheyenne called it cute. Naruto complained about his hunger, and Cheyenne said the food would arrive any second. The waitress set their food on the table, everyone thanked her, and they began to eat. They talked about school, Naruto singing, the Sasuke moment, and briefly about Murasake before the conversation moved on. Sakura said they should head home. Hinata told Sakura she would stay in the penthouse a little longer and that Sakura could spend time with her parents. Sasuke offered to drop Sakura off and held her hand. Cheyenne called after them not to do anything reckless as they entered Sasuke's car. Naruto offered to take Hinata and Cheyenne home. Hinata thanked him and slid into his car. Naruto asked Cheyenne where she lived and she said just up past Hinata's penthouse. He decided to drop Hinata off first. After dropping Hinata at her penthouse, Naruto drove Cheyenne to her house. On the way, Cheyenne asked whether Naruto liked Hinata in a deeper way. Naruto admitted he did not know, confessing that he was often dense when it came to love and that his mentor had never given him useful advice about romance. Cheyenne said time would tell. She waved as Naruto stopped in front of her house and he drove away. At home, Naruto took some sleeping medicine because he had trouble sleeping and went to bed. He did not fall asleep quickly and spent the night wondering whether he had deeper feelings for Hinata. He acknowledged a stronger connection with her and that she was the first person to treat him like a normal person. He decided that perhaps his feelings were stronger than he had admitted. Love felt complicated. Naruto walked into his classroom when a group of girls ran up to him, excited about gossip. They asked whether he and Murasake could do another duet because people online shipped them. Naruto said he was not sure they could do a duet and admitted he might have feelings for someone else. When pressed for a name, he avoided the question and the girls hurried away. Naruto found it odd that people shipped him with Murasake, whom he did not know well, though he thought Murasake was an amazing person. He reflected that if Murasake were Hinata he would be very happy, but that Hinata being herself was enough. She was perfect as she was. Sasuke told Naruto to move out of the doorway as he poked his shoulder. Naruto stepped aside and Sasuke asked why he had been zoning out. Naruto said he had been thinking about something. Sasuke asked if that something was someone and suggested Hinata, and Naruto denied it even though he did not feel entirely honest. Sasuke told Naruto bluntly that he was a bad liar. Hinata burst into the classroom and greeted everyone energetically. Naruto returned the greeting cheerfully. Sasuke offered a plain hello and then, looking back at the door, asked where Sakura was. A classmate explained that Sakura was sick because her grandmother was visiting and had a cat, so Sakura was staying in the penthouse watching Netflix. Sasuke smiled and said that sounded like her. Hinata sat next to Naruto with a calm smile. Sasuke tapped Naruto on the arm from behind and whispered that he was staring. Naruto nodded and turned his attention to Neji, Tenten, Sai, Ino, and Cheyenne as they entered the room together. Hinata walked over to Cheyenne's desk and began talking with her. Naruto admired Hinata from a distance, thinking she was amazing for wanting to stay friends with Cheyenne despite everything that had happened between them. Sasuke tapped Naruto again, and Naruto turned to tell him to stop. Sai pointed out that Naruto was the one staring, and Naruto admitted he had thought Sasuke had tapped him. Sasuke explained he had been about to smack him. Class began and Hinata took her seat beside Naruto. The teacher asked what 190 times 9 equaled and called on Tonari in the back. Tonari guessed wildly and was corrected on the board. When the teacher asked Tonari what he had been talking about, Tonari strutted to the front and said flatly that they had been talking about how attractive Hinata was. The teacher, clearly annoyed, sent Tonari to the principal's office. Hinata looked flustered and embarrassed. Naruto asked if she was okay, and she admitted she felt embarrassed. Naruto told her he understood and class resumed. After school, Naruto, Hinata, and Sasuke headed to the penthouse to check on Sakura when someone called after them. Tonari approached and asked Hinata if she wanted to get coffee. Hinata tried to respond, but Tonari hurried her along, taking her by the arm. Sasuke suggested they go see Sakura and assured Naruto that Hinata would be fine. 3 hours later, Naruto complained that Tonari had taken Hinata and that she did not even like him. Sakura teased Naruto to stop being jealous. Sasuke returned with a box of tissues for Sakura, and she thanked him as she blew her nose. Naruto admitted he might be jealous, and Sakura teased him about it. Sasuke sat beside Sakura while Naruto reluctantly confessed that he liked her but asked them not to tell anyone. Sakura laughed and accepted his confession as a compliment. Hinata stumbled out of the elevator and announced that she had returned. Naruto helped her onto the couch and asked if she was okay. She said she needed to film another video and seemed drowsy. Sakura finished Hinata's sentence about being mad and explained that Hinata needed to film a video to vent about what had happened with Tonari. Sasuke observed that Hinata appeared drunk, and Naruto accused Tonari of getting her drunk. Hinata confirmed she was unsteady before collapsing to the floor. Naruto and Sakura agreed to take her to bed, and Naruto carried her to her room as Sakura warned him to be careful. Naruto set Hinata on her bed and sat in the desk chair. A flash of purple caught his eye in the corner of the room. Curious, he picked up what looked like a mask, the same as Murasaki's mask. He wondered how it had ended up there and considered the possibility that it had been left during the party. He decided to forget about the mask for the moment when Sakura called that they were watching Voltron. Naruto dropped the mask and ran down the hallway to join them. Later, Hinata remembered that Tonari had taken her to a bar and pressured her into taking shots until she became very drunk. She recalled being left in the elevator and then waking up later in her bed. In the kitchen, she ate cereal as Sakura yawned and wished her a good morning. Sakura suggested Hinata should stay home from school since her head might hurt, and Hinata agreed she would not go. Sakura said she was heading to school and told Hinata not to get sick, promising she would be back in a few hours before leaving. Alone in the penthouse, Hinata decided to film a video. She changed into leggings and a galaxy shirt and put on her mask, though she thought she might have misplaced it earlier. She set up her studio, arranged the camera, and hit record to begin her video. Hina decided to try. It was just a headache anyway, and she began to sing the opening to Yuri on Ice, letting the hopeful, determined lines about heartbeat, dreams, and making history fill the small studio. After a moment she paused and looked around the room. A strange feeling told her she was being watched, but there were no windows, so she tried to dismiss it. Hina explained that the song had been History Maker by Dean Fujioka and that, as usual, she would mention the one fact of the day. Her last name started with an H. She asked anyone from her school not to search for her, because being suspected felt frightening. Then she smiled and ended the recording. She breathed a sigh of relief and plugged the camera into the computer. She was not very familiar with uploading videos, so she planned to wait for Sakura to get home before posting. When someone knocked, she felt a flare of panic. Her apartment had no door in the usual sense and tried to calm herself, imagining a simple mistake like a DLVY person at the wrong penthouse. Hina slipped out of the studio closet and crept into the living room, calling out to check for anyone there and feeling foolish for doing so. She knew how people in horror movies called out only to be answered or attacked, and the thought made her more nervous. Naruto greeted her cheerfully from the top floor, and Hina looked up, startled to see him. She worried aloud about security for the place. Naruto explained that Sakura had told him Hina still had a bad headache and that he wanted to stay with her. He added that he had told the school he was busy recording, so the principal let him off, and he made a light, embarrassed comment about being a fan favorite with some of the staff. Hina asked how he had managed it, and Naruto said he had told them he was taking care of her as he came down the stairs. Hina offered to make something to eat, but Naruto reminded her that she was in no condition to be cooking. He moved closer and, in a gentle, protective gesture, lifted her and carried her to the couch. He set a blanket over her and tucked a very fuzzy pink pillow behind her head, Sakura's pillow, but Naruto didn't seem to mind. He asked what she wanted to drink and snack-wise, and Hina, a little embarrassed, said she wanted Twizzlers and Mountain Dew. Naruto grinned and headed into the kitchen. Hina watched him go and thought about how sometimes he was so dense and childish, and how, despite herself, she loved him. A few minutes later she scrolled through Netflix, distracted and a little restless about a new season announcement she had seen. Naruto returned with refreshments, a bottle of Mountain Dew and a bag of Twizzlers, and asked her to move her legs so he could sit beside her. He suggested she rest her legs on his lap, and after a brief hesitation Hina did so, leaning back on the armrest and feeling comforted. Naruto asked if she was comfortable and offered to watch Try Not to Laugh videos together. Hina smiled and the two of them began scrolling through YouTube on the TV, laughing at a string of clips and memes for a few hours until Sakura returned home with Sasuke. Sakura announced her arrival and Hina caught up with her, using their private wink code to indicate there was a new Murasaki video to handle Sakura's shorthand for channel content. Sakura dashed into Hina's room to take care of it while Naruto and Sasuke settled in. Naruto commented on how quick Sakura was, and Hina mumbled to herself. An advertisement interrupted the videos, featuring a dramatic, romantic recollection about meeting true love on the beach while wearing perfume and a blue dress. Naruto and Hina exchanged confused glances, and Sasuke laughed from his chair. Sakura returned, flustered but cheerful, and settled down. She suggested watching anime, and Naruto panicked comically about whether that was the right choice. Sasuke, more practical, suggested they stick to the funny videos they had been enjoying, and the group agreed to keep the evening light and relaxed. Sasuke and Sakura copied the way Naruto and the others were sitting, so Naruto stayed put and ate all the food. They considered that a victory. Naruto wandered through the penthouse trying to coax Hinata out of her room, but she did not emerge, so he started looking around. On the top floor he found a pink dress that felt familiar and a purple dress that reminded him of the one Murasaki had worn during a duet. He decided to ask about them later. Singing drifted down the stairs, a voice that sounded like Murasaki. Naruto wondered if Murasaki was there and why Hinata might be connected to her. He could not even remember if Hinata had been at the party. Hinata called down the stairs, and Naruto answered that he was there. She told him she needed better security in the place and asked what he was doing there. Naruto explained that he had heard her head was still hurting and had come to keep her company. Hinata smiled and asked if there was anything he wanted to eat. Naruto joked that she was stealing his line, then moved behind her and helped her get comfortable on the couch. He offered to bring her something to drink and she asked for Mountain Dew and Twizzlers, hiding her face under the blanket. Naruto agreed and went to the kitchen. He thought about the song he had heard upstairs. It had not been on YouTube. While searching the cabinets, a plushie fell off the counter. Naruto picked up a Sylvian and teased that he would be the very best. He then heard excited squealing from the living room. Hinata was jumping on the couch while the TV displayed a message about a new season of a show, which explained her excitement. Naruto returned with snacks and drinks and set them on the table. He asked Hinata to move her legs for a moment so he could get comfortable. She moved them to the floor and he thanked her before inviting her to rest them back on his lap. She settled into her blanket and relaxed. Naruto asked what they should watch and Hinata insisted that he not laugh, but she agreed when he suggested something light. They watched for hours. Sakura and Sasuke arrived and joined them. Sakura went into Hinata's room to check on something in the closet and Naruto received a notification that Murasaki had uploaded a video. Naruto told the group about the new upload and wondered aloud if Sakura had gone to post a video. They all remarked that she worked fast. A commercial interrupted the video with a sentimental clip about finding first love on a beach, which left Hinata unsettled and Naruto puzzled. Sasuke laughed at the odd content. Sakura returned and, after a brief moment, the group decided to watch some funny videos instead. They laughed together for a while. Sasuke and Sakura teased them by mimicking their seating, so Naruto and Hinata stole the snacks and felt like they had won. Later, Sasuke announced he was heading home and Sakura said she would ride with him. As they left, Hinata scrolled through her phone and Naruto noticed she was checking YouTube comments on a Murasaki video. Curious, Naruto excused himself to use the bathroom and pulled out his headphones. He scrolled to the new Murasaki upload. The song was the same one he had heard upstairs. He decided this would be the right time to ask Hinata about it. Back in the living room, Naruto asked Hinata if they could talk. Hinata put her phone away and listened. Naruto explained that earlier in the house he had heard singing and that the new Murasaki video featured the same song, and that he had also seen Murasaki's dress upstairs. Hinata said that Murasaki had left the dress when she came to drop off the video because Hinata uploaded the videos to prevent people from tracking them. She insisted that she was not Murasaki and that she could not sing, though Naruto noted that she played instruments very well. Hinata sounded urgent when she explained the arrangement. Naruto accepted her explanation for the moment but remained suspicious. Sakura's POV. Sakura dropped off Sasuke and headed back to the penthouse. She could not sleep on the streets. As she approached the entrance, Hinata unexpectedly tackled her to the ground. Sakura asked what was wrong. Hinata shouted that Naruto was suspicious and that he had asked about Murasaki. Sakura reacted with disbelief and immediately insisted they go talk to him. Hinata told Sakura everything and then curled up with a pillow while eating candy. Sakura reassured her that Naruto probably liked her and that they needed to trust people more. Hinata mumbled that maybe Sakura was right but that Naruto would not like her. Sakura teased that Naruto clearly liked Hinata and found the situation adorably cringeworthy. She led Hinata up to the roof because it was nighttime and raining, which Hinata loved. Hinata agreed quietly. They sat in a shallow puddle and splashed water, and Sakura laughed that Hinata was childish in a good way. After they got soaked, they showered and went to bed, sharing candy while listening to their favorite song from the musical Be More Chill, the sad number called Michael in the bathroom. Eventually they went to sleep. Hinata's POV. The next morning, Hinata felt nervous about seeing Naruto. She worried that if he found out she had lied about something he would never trust her again. Sakura noticed Hinata's tension and urged her to relax, teasing that she might be making a pun. They both laughed. Naruto ran up to them, cheerful. Hinata greeted him calmly and Sakura asked where Sasuke was. Naruto explained that Sasuke was sick that day. Hinata teased that her ship was being separated, and Sakura reminded her that their ship was still intact. Tonari then wrapped an arm around Hinata, making her uncomfortable in public. Sakura hoped Hinata would not have to deal with him. Naruto stepped forward, announced that no one shipped the pair Tonari suggested, and put his arms around Hinata to pull her away from Tonari. Hinata blushed at being held close and felt uncertain whether Naruto was jealous or simply trying to be a friend. Sakura celebrated that Naruto supported Hinata, and Tonari smirked. Naruto told Tonari to leave Hinata alone for now and said he would see his friends after school. Hinata stammered when Naruto released her and felt a rush of cold as if a blanket had been taken away. Sakura urged them to get to class together, joking about nicknames. Hinata and Sakura both repeated the nickname in unison and decided to ask Sakura about it later. In class, Hinata spoke up and explained that Tonari had said he would meet her at the gate after school and that she would prefer to leave 10 minutes early to avoid an uncomfortable encounter. She asked if someone could accompany her just in case. 1010 volunteered, and several classmates explained why they could not go. Niji mentioned existing plans, and Hinata appreciated Sakura and Naruto volunteering to go with her. Hinata noted that their last block teacher tended to be lenient with Naruto and hoped the teacher would allow them to leave early. Before the end of the last class, they stood in front of the teacher's desk. Naruto asked the teacher if they could leave early because Hinata had been made uncomfortable by someone who would be waiting at the gate. The teacher apologized for what had happened and permitted them to leave. They thanked the teacher and gathered their bags from their lockers. Sakura's locker was at the far end of the hall while Hinata and Naruto's lockers were close to each other. Sakura teased Hinata about being like a bunny, and Naruto defended frogs as cute, making them all laugh. As they walked, they saw Tonari leaning near the gate. Sakura cracked her knuckles and declared the other person's persistence, asking Naruto to protect Hinata. Naruto moved slowly toward Tonari while holding Hinata's hand. Sakura gritted her teeth and told Tonari he was supposed to be in class. Tonari replied smugly that he had come early for Hinata. Sakura said she hated to break it to him, actually she would love to break it, and announced that Hinata already had a boyfriend. Hinata protested but couldn't finish because Tonari interrupted, smirking and asking who that might be. Sakura said casually that it was Naruto. Tonari scoffed that Hinata was not good enough for Naruto, that Naruto was a pop star who would suit Murasaki better, and that Tonari considered himself above Naruto, which was why he thought Hinata would be perfect for him. Hinata pulled free from Naruto's grasp and charged at Tonari. Hinata declared that she would never like him, that he could not take her where he wanted or get her drunk, and that he had no right to speak badly about her or her friends. She insisted that Naruto could like whoever he wanted regardless of fame. Tonari smirked and said he liked her feistiness as he reached out toward her. Hinata slapped him, warned him to stay away, and said she was stronger than she looked. She struck him once more with her book bag and walked away. Naruto laughed and praised Hinata, and Sakura joined in the amusement. At the penthouse, Hinata admitted she had been confused about the teacher's schedule. Naruto asked what she meant. Hinata explained that the teacher had said she would see them tomorrow, but tomorrow was Saturday, and she had almost said something because the teacher had looked so serious. Sakura laughed and Naruto chuckled. The three of them spent the rest of the day talking on the roof, and by the end of the evening Naruto mentioned that his birthday was the next day. Naruto's friends gathered at his house to celebrate. Sasuke patted Naruto on the back and wished him a happy birthday. Naruto mumbled his thanks. Naruto did not care much for parties. Being with Hinata would be enough for him, and he admitted privately that he liked her a lot, though he wasn't sure how she felt. The others were loud and playful. Lee shouted about streamers and caused a commotion that had everyone laughing. Sasuke asked what Naruto wanted to do for his birthday, but the question was interrupted by the doorbell. Naruto slid down the hall in his fluffy socks and opened the door to find paparazzi and fans outside. He closed the door slowly with a smile while reporters shouted questions about his dating life and who he would spend his birthday with. Neji asked who had been at the door. Naruto sighed that it had just been fans and paparazzi, and Sai patted him on the back in sympathy. Neji set a large speaker beside the TV and hoped Tenten and the others would arrive soon, while Naruto worried they might get mobbed. Hinata arrived through the back door. Naruto asked how she had gotten in without a car in front. Hinata explained that she had asked the neighbor behind the house for permission to jump the fence and had climbed over. Naruto asked where the others were. Hinata said they had been delayed because Ino had struggled with her shoes. Naruto hoped they would arrive safely. Hinata noticed Naruto seemed different and asked what was wrong. Naruto realized she was the only one who had noticed and admitted he had never had anyone celebrate his birthday before, so it felt new. Hinata smiled and promised to make the birthday special, then took his hands. Lee cheered at their sweetness, and Hinata immediately let go, embarrassed. Choji teased them, and Hinata excused herself to fetch a gift from the backyard because it was too large to bring inside. Sasuke called off the big decorations and suggested they just relax and hang out. Naruto decided to retreat to his room for a while. He closed the door and reflected that, although he appreciated his friend's efforts, birthdays had never felt particularly important to him. Hinata knocked and asked to come in. She entered and sat beside Naruto on his bed, asking if he was excited. Naruto said he was fine with simply spending time with everyone and managed to avoid revealing his deeper feelings. Hinata said she felt much the same and was content to be with friends. They sat together quietly, sharing the comfort of mutual understanding. Someone called from downstairs. Choji shouted from downstairs that the girls had arrived. Hinata told Naruto to head down, and he followed her because he had nothing better to do. The girls shouted happy birthday to Naruto as they entered. Ino teased Hinata about climbing a fence in that outfit, and Tenten exclaimed in surprise. Hinata replied shyly that she did not know how it had happened. Naruto noticed Hinata's outfit, a flowy purple shirt, black leggings, and purple Converse. Sakura mentioned that Sasuke had suggested a quiet birthday of hanging out and watching TV. Naruto agreed that it sounded simple and fun, and Hinata supported the plan. Tenten laughed and joined them in the living room. Ino commented on the size of Naruto's house, and Naruto joked that Hinata and Sakura's penthouse might be bigger. Sakura then said they needed someone to take Hinata to pick up the cake because they had rented a taxi. Naruto volunteered to take her despite Sai's protest, and Hinata mumbled her agreement as she followed him out the door. As soon as Naruto opened the front door, a mob of cameras and screaming fans swarmed the entrance. He cursed inwardly, realizing he had forgotten about the crowd, and tried to navigate his way through while holding Hinata's hand so she would not get lost. A reporter demanded to know who the girl with him was and whether she was his girlfriend. Naruto denied that they were anything more than trying to get to his car, then opened the door for Hinata and climbed into the driver's seat after she sat down. Hinata warned him not to run anyone over as she backed away from the crowd pressing against the windows, and Naruto assured her he would not. He honked once to signal that he was reversing and inched the car back through the throng. When Naruto asked where the bakery was, Hinata gave clear directions. 3 lefts, 1 right, another left, go straight, and 1 final right. Naruto offered to turn on the music, and Hinata cheered as she searched through the channels until she found a song she loved. They both began singing along enthusiastically to Believer, matching each other's energy and smiling as they belted out the choruses. During the drive, Naruto told Hinata that she sounded a lot like Murasaki, and Hinata stiffened and laughed nervously before denying it. Naruto turned into the bakery parking lot, feeling suspicious about her reaction. They stepped inside and saw a large group of girls seated at a table. When the bakery worker handed them the cake, the girls at the table turned, recognized Naruto, and erupted into high-pitched screams. The fans surged forward like a wave, shrieking and pushing through the seating area. Naruto's immediate reaction was to grab Hinata and dart toward a staff door at the back. He pulled her through and shut the door behind them, closing them into a small storage closet with the boxed cake. Hinata asked nervously what they were doing in the closet. Naruto admitted that he had been afraid the fans would tackle them. Hinata teased him about being embarrassed, and Naruto asked how she knew him so well. Hinata giggled and said she was good at reading people. A bakery worker opened the closet door and politely asked them to step out of the staff area. Naruto apologized and explained that they had ducked in to avoid the fans. The worker nodded in understanding and left them to come. Naruto noted that it had been a good talk. We quickly snuck past the fangirls and slid into the car. Hinata observed that it had been eventful, and Naruto replied that it was not as much as they thought and that it happened a lot. Back at the house, Hinata announced that they had a cake and told everyone to back away as the interviewers and fangirls made a path. Naruto scolded himself for not having thought of that earlier. Tenten called for everyone to hurry because they had set up the living room and opened the door for them to run in. Naruto explained that they were hurrying while running up the steps. Tenten shut and locked the door. Hinata said she would set the cake in the kitchen, requested that Ino make the popcorn, and asked Sakura to get a lot of pillows and blankets. Sakura laughed and admitted they had forgotten about that, so she volunteered to go get the pillows. Ino hurried toward the kitchen. 10 minutes later, Lee asked Naruto what movie he wanted to watch while cuddling a green pillow. Naruto suggested getting everyone on the couch first and then browsing the TV. Everyone agreed and started to gather on the couch. Ino and Sai sat on the love seat. Niji and Tenten sat on body pillows on the floor. Sakura and Sasuke sat on bean bags. Lee took an armchair, and Choji lay in another armchair. Naruto and Hinata ended up sitting together on the cuddler. Hinata had been mostly sitting with Naruto because he had asked her to, and it seemed that she also wanted to sit next to him. Naruto announced that they should watch Tokyo Ghoul. Hinata cried out in recognition of Kaneki. Choji wondered aloud whether that anime was for 18-year-olds. Naruto acknowledged that it was, and Sakura pointed out that they were 16. Hinata declared that she loved Tokyo Ghoul, and Naruto enthusiastically agreed. Sai laughed and clicked on episode 1. By the next morning, they had finished the whole season. Ino celebrated that they had finished, and Naruto noted, yawning, that it was only 12 episodes. Lee asked whether they should watch Tokyo Ghoul. Naruto agreed, and they spent the night watching Tokyo Ghoul until they fell asleep. The next morning, Naruto realized that Murasaki had posted a video the previous day. He watched it and discovered that she had sincerely sung happy birthday to him. He had never had anyone sing happy birthday to him like that before. Hinata's POV. Hinata was walking through Naruto's house, gathering pillows and blankets after the party while Shikamaru and Sai had convinced Naruto to join a silly drinking contest. Hinata reminded herself that if they got drunk it was not her fault. She heard someone call her name groggily and turned to see Naruto wobbling toward her. Hinata noticed right away that he was clearly tipsy. Naruto stumbled up and hugged her, and Hinata felt her face flush so brightly she compared it to Sakura's hair. Naruto, still unsteady, fell asleep at her feet after mumbling that he loved her. Hinata froze, stunned and embarrassed. Sakura arrived at lightning speed and pried Naruto away from Hinata. Hinata, feeling lightheaded, explained that Naruto had said he loved her. Sakura squealed with excitement and shook Hinata gently, then remembered Naruto on the floor and offered to carry him to his bed. Sakura promised they would talk later, gave Hinata a playful wink, and walked back downstairs with Naruto. Hinata was puzzled that Sakura went downstairs instead of staying near the room next door. Hinata tried to brush off the moment and set about putting things away, telling herself that Naruto had only said those things because he was drunk. She stuffed the blankets into the hall closet and thought about uploading a video later. There was a new song she wanted to sing. Tenten, snacking on a lollipop, announced that she, Ino and Shine were heading home. Hinata waved from the top of the stairs and said she would see them tomorrow. Hinata walked back downstairs. Sakura asked if she was ready to go, and Hinata replied that she was. Sakura warned everyone not to let Naruto out of sight. Shikamaru sighed, and Sakura smiled before leaving with Hinata. Once in the car, Sakura teased Hinata and asked what Naruto had said upstairs. Hinata reminded her that Naruto had told her he loved her, and Sakura laughed, rubbing the back of her neck in embarrassment. Sakura suggested they should upload a video that day, then started the car. Suddenly Naruto burst out of the house, and Hinata shouted that he should be sleeping. Sasuke chased after him and urged him to get back inside. After catching his breath, Naruto asked Hinata if she wanted to go on a date tomorrow after school. Hinata was so surprised she could not speak. Sakura answered for her and said yes. Naruto brightened and said he would pick her up at 5, then Sasuke pulled him back into the house. Hinata came back to herself and realized what had just happened. Sakura explained that Naruto had just asked Hinata out, and Hinata reacted with stunned disbelief. Sakura assured her that she had accepted for her because Hinata had been too shocked to answer. Hinata protested but accepted Sakura's explanation, and they parked in front of their hotel. Inside the penthouse, Sakura said she would set up a Murasaki video. Hinata went to do a quick task on the top floor where she rarely went except for secret things, which was why she had been so worried about Naruto being up there earlier. Hinata put on her mask, walked back down the stairs, entered her room, slipped through the closet and into her small studio. Sakura had already set everything up and encouraged her to sit down and sing. Sakura counted down, the red recording light on the camera turned on, and Hinata began her performance, announcing that she would sing the song she had chosen and then starting to sing. Murasaki smiled and announced that the recording was finished for the day. Sakura asked Murasaki what the fact of the day would be, and Murasaki replied that she loved musical theater, naming Be More Chill as her favorite. Murasaki then said goodbye to her fans. Sakura turned off the camera, smiled at her, and plugged the camera into the computer. Murasaki asked if she had done well, and Sakura praised her for being more cheerful this time. Murasaki admitted relief at the improvement and mentioned that she needed to get ready for the next day, since school would end at 4 and she would have only an hour to prepare for her date. Sakura cooed about how adorable they were when they blushed around each other. Murasaki blushed and admitted it, and Sakura teased that she would be upset if Tonari interfered with their relationship, to which Murasaki assured her she would handle it. Sakura announced that the new video had been uploaded as they left the studio. Murasaki expressed hope for another duet with Naruto and wondered whether she should tell him she was Murasaki, but Sakura advised her to wait. Murasaki headed to bed after Sakura wished her good night. She stared out the window for a moment, considered whether to reveal her identity, and eventually climbed into bed and fell asleep. Naruto told Sasuke that he was going to confess to Hinata, but Sasuke replied dryly and offered little encouragement. Naruto protested at the lack of support, and Sasuke shrugged and took a seat. Hinata entered the classroom cheerfully with Sakura and Shine. Naruto greeted her happily, and Sasuke mentioned that Naruto wanted to speak to Hinata after school, nudging Sakura into the seat next to him. Hinata smiled and sat beside Naruto. Shine announced that the news said Murasaki and Naruto were scheduled to perform a duet on Saturday. Naruto and Hinata reacted with surprise, drawing the attention of several classmates. Naruto glanced over Shine's shoulder at the article and suspected that his manager might have arranged it, since Murasaki had not mentioned the duet anywhere. Shine noted that Murasaki typically announced big events to friends on social media, and her silence seemed odd. Sakura pulled Hinata out of the classroom briefly. Tenten and Niji observed and commented that Sakura and Hinata often left together whenever there was significant news about Murasaki. Tenten suggested they keep an eye on things and then settled down to rest until class began. Sakura and Hinata returned to class shortly before the lesson started. When pressed about what they'd been discussing, Sakura and Sasuke offered an embarrassed excuse and did not explain further. The teacher then began the lesson. After school, Naruto nervously asked Hinata to come with him and led her behind the school. He told her directly that he did not want to waste her time and then confessed that he liked her perhaps more than liked, as he stumbled over words and admitted he might be in love. Hinata listened, surprised and emotional. She smiled through tears and said she had thought she might confess first, but that she also liked him. Naruto embraced her in relief and asked if she would be his girlfriend. Hinata blushed, agreed, and tucked her face into his chest. Hinata worried whether a relationship might affect Naruto's career, but Naruto dismissed the concern, saying that being with her was what mattered most. After a few minutes of calming down, they discussed how and when to tell their friends and decided to invite everyone to meet at the park. They messaged their friends and walked to the park to wait. Once everyone had gathered and the initial excitement had settled, Naruto and Hinata announced their relationship. Their friends reacted with surprise and then celebration. After a PRD of calming everyone down and ensuring no photos were taken without permission, Naruto and Hinata stood together, holding hands and smiling at the start of their new relationship. We all decided to go home and do whatever. I dropped off Hinata and Sakura at their penthouse and then went back to my house, watching a few paparazzi linger in the road. I sighed and collapsed onto my bed, smiling as I recalled the day and then frowning when I remembered how Shine and Sakura had been screaming and shaking everyone until they were dizzy. I started scrolling through my phone and noticed a new Murasaki video had been uploaded, so I pressed play. The masked singer said they had been playing a game and apologized for not remembering the lyrics well, then signed off and ended the video. I still couldn't get over how good the singing was and wondered who was behind the mask. The singer had said she went to our school, so maybe I knew her. I was too tired to think about it further. Hinata's POV. Hinata could hardly believe she was actually Naruto's girlfriend. She had once thought he liked Murasaki, but it didn't matter now that he had chosen her. The thought made her very happy. Sakura noticed Hinata's flushed face and asked if she was okay. Hinata mumbled that she was just thinking about Naruto. Sakura cooed that they were adorable and teased that even though it had only been a day, they had been cute for a while. As they walked into the school building, Sasuke peeked out of a classroom and asked if he had been summoned. Sakura ran into his arms and called him darling. Sasuke smiled and returned her greeting. Naruto greeted Hinata in the hallway and patted her head, which made her blush. Sakura complained that the day would be boring if they did nothing. Suddenly Sakura picked up her chair and walked down the hallway, announcing she was going to Narnia. The others watched as Sakura charged through the hallway. Someone commented that it was normal behavior for her, and another recalled a past reckless prank when Sakura had thrown a pillow out a window after someone had yelled she was tired. They all laughed as they remembered other pranks, including a time Hinata had bought 100 bath bombs and put them in a public fountain. Naruto chuckled and Sasuke looked as if the group's antics were an exercise in human unpredictability. A teacher called after Sakura as she ran around a corner with the chair, and the friends agreed they might never see her again. Back in class, the teacher wondered where Ms. Haruno was. Someone explained that she had run down the hallway with a chair, and the teacher moved on to start the lesson. After school, the group walked toward the penthouse. Sakura explained that she had detention and appreciated that her friends had waited for her. Naruto teased that Sasuke was also Sakura's boyfriend, and Sakura hugged Sasuke's arm, saying he was the only one she loved. Sasuke smiled and held her hand. Naruto and I decided to leave the others to enjoy some quiet time together, imagining that Sakura and Sasuke would have a chance to bond. Naruto suggested they find something to do, and the two headed to a nearby park. Naruto wrapped an arm around Hinata and they sat on a bench as the sun began to set. Naruto came up with a plan to do something silly at the grocery store, and Hinata agreed. At Kroger, Naruto grabbed a cart and asked Hinata to climb in with him. He called out to Tenten, who agreed to push the cart when they were ready but playfully asked for a greeting. Tenten pushed the cart while Naruto and Hinata held a playful pose that made them both laugh. They rode around the store like that for a while, enjoying the harmless prank and the attention it brought. As the sun set, they decided to head home. Tenten waved as she left. Left walking from the parking lot, Hinata groaned at having to walk all the way home, but Naruto smiled and said he had called a ride. He explained that he had arranged a limo to make the trip more exciting. They waited for a few minutes until the vehicle arrived. Naruto held the door open and indicated that ladies should go first. She thanked him as she climbed into the leather seats, noting to herself that they must be unbearable in the summer. About 10 minutes later she was back in her penthouse, eating cereal in the kitchen at night, alone. She sighed and decided to post on social media to clear up the duet rumor with Naruto. She wrote that she had not forgotten to announce the duet because she herself had only just found out, and that she would be happy to sing with him but would appreciate being told next time. After posting, she washed her bowl, went to her room, closed the door, and stared out at the city lights and stars through the large windows. She sighed one last time and fell asleep. From Naruto's perspective, he saw the post that Murasaki had made the night before and felt embarrassed and restless. His frustration made him glare at Jiraiya as if he wanted answers. Sakura burst into the room and announced that Naruto's girlfriend had arrived. Hinata covered her mouth in surprise, and Naruto beamed as Hinata ran to his side. Sakura immediately began taking pictures, commenting on how adorable they were. A new girl approached. She introduced herself as Claire, saying she was new and a big fan. Claire grabbed Naruto's arm and announced that she was going to make him fall for her. Sakura reacted by insisting that Naruto belonged to Hinata, pulling Claire away. Claire bragged that she was the prestigious daughter of the Roland family, one of the richest families in Japan. Sakura smirked and reminded her that the Hyuga family was the most influential, which caused Claire to be taken aback when she learned Hinata's identity. Hinata blushed and pouted, which Naruto found endearing. Claire insisted that Hinata's background did not matter and that she would still win Naruto's heart. Sakura warned Claire to back off, but Claire defiantly asked what would happen if she didn't. Hinata showed a quiet resolve, producing a bag of Legos in a playful but pointed gesture that drew the attention of the lunchroom. Fans watching the scene asked if Naruto and Hinata were dating, and the other girls confirmed that they were. Hinata moved toward Claire and, rather than escalating the situation, gently pushed her back and then sat on Naruto's lap, blushing. Naruto wrapped an arm around Hinata and told her that he only wanted her and would wait as long as it took. Sakura teased Hinata about blushing, while Claire retreated to her group of friends, visibly annoyed. The teacher called the start of class and the day progressed. At lunch, the group discussed Halloween plans. Hinata excitedly listed her plans to dress as a Pokemon trainer. Naruto planned to dress as a ninja. Sakura said she would be a doctor. Friends gathered around, including Tenten, Niji, Lee, Ino, Sai, Sasuke, Cheyenne, and Choji. Hinata invited Naruto to go trick-or-treating together, and he happily agreed, preferring the idea of spending the evening as a kid with his girlfriend over attending parties. Claire continued to cling to Naruto, but Sakura pushed her back and told her to move on. When Sasuke asked if Naruto and Hinata were going to keep cuddling, Naruto laughed and let her get up. After school, the group parted ways. Sakura hurried off with Hinata to prepare costumes, record a Halloween special, eat, and clean the house. They rushed into the elevator together, chattering about everything they needed to do. Sakura demanded that they get the costumes and the Murasaki clothes while she set the studio up, and the narrator rushed down the stairs. The narrator dashed through the upstairs living room into the hall closet, panicking over the missing hat needed for the Serena Yvonne costume from Pokemon XY and XYan Z. The narrator noted the need for a wig because her own hair was purplish black and Serena's was dirty blonde. Sakura told the narrator to hurry, and the narrator announced that she had everything she needed, running downstairs in Halloween leggings and a black tank top with a pumpkin on it. Sakura instructed the narrator to sit on the stool in the studio. The narrator fixed her hair, sat, and prepared to perform as Sakura prompted her to start. The narrator greeted the viewers, expressed excitement about Halloween, invited comments about costumes, and introduced the song she would sing. After finishing, the narrator smiled while Sakura turned off the recording equipment. Sakura praised the performance and said she would upload the video and then go to bed. The narrator agreed and they said goodnight before the narrator walked out of the studio, into her bedroom, and fell into bed, exhausted. Hinata later burst into the classroom, announcing that it was Halloween. Naruto greeted her, and Hinata leaped into his arms in her excitement. Naruto returned the hug. Sakura ran over to Sasuke, excited about the day. Sasuke asked if they had been shouting the whole way, and the three of them replied that of course they had. Hinata asked if everyone was ready and said they would get a lot of candy. Naruto said he hoped to get a lot of almond joys. After some conversation about candy, Claire approached the group and directed herself toward Naruto. Hinata stepped between Claire and Naruto, placing her hands on Claire's shoulders and pushing her back into her seat, determined not to let Claire interfere. Sakura observed that Hinata had handled the situation well, reminding Sasuke that Hinata sometimes reacted physically in the past, as with Tonari. After school, Hinata told Naruto and Sasuke to meet in the hotel lobby. Naruto saluted and ran toward his house while Sasuke drove. Hinata and Sakura ran to the penthouse, joking about being excited for Halloween. They changed quickly into their costumes and headed for the elevator to meet the boys. When the elevator doors opened in the lobby, they looked around for Naruto and Sasuke. Hinata pointed out that Sasuke was sitting on the stairs and that Naruto was hiding in a fake bush. Naruto attempted to crawl from bush to bush like a ninja. Hinata giggled and asked Naruto to come out, but he admitted he was stuck. Sakura cracked her knuckles, walked over, grabbed Naruto's hands, and pulled him free. He fell forward with a loud thump and landed on the ground. Hinata rushed to check on him and asked if he was okay. Naruto said he was fine now that Hinata was nearby, and his smile made Hinata blush. Sakura squealed at the sight while Sasuke took pictures with a small smile. Hinata helped Naruto to his feet and suggested they get going. The three friends set off into the evening toward a wealthy neighborhood where many houses were decorated for the holiday. At one house, Sakura crouched like a child and squealed the traditional greeting. The homeowner handed out 2 pieces of candy each. Hinata joked about saying the wrong holiday greeting as they walked away. Hinata noticed movement at the house next door and commented that someone was moving in. Sakura and Hinata spotted Claire emerging, wearing a playful costume with bunny ears and a tail. Sakura worried about what her parents might do, imagining they would insist she and Claire get along. Naruto offered to look out for Hinata and held her hand to reassure her. Hinata asked Naruto if he would really protect her, and he smiled in a warm, friendly way before heading to the next house. Hinata felt a flutter of happiness at the moment. Sakura pulled Hinata out of the road and reminded her they needed to hide from Claire for now. Hinata dreamily repeated that Naruto had been sweet, and Sakura agreed. When Claire called out to Naruto, Hinata sprinted over with Sakura to confront her, determined not to let Claire cause trouble. Hinata warned Claire that moving next door would cause problems and told her to be careful. Claire responded by flipping her hair and suggesting Naruto might not date her because she was too attractive. Hinata fired back with a joking insult about Claire's abilities. Claire gasped as Hinata stopped in front of her, Hinata slightly shorter because of Claire's heels. A brief silence followed. A girl smirked and teased that if someone ran like their mouth they would be in good shape. The narrator replied to Claire that if she wanted to die she could climb up Claire's ego and jump down to her IQ, then announced they were done and walked away, grabbing Naruto's hand. After trick-or-treating, Sakura laughed that she could not believe Hinata had said that to Claire. Sakura added that even Sasuke had laughed. Naruto and Sasuke also found it funny and chuckled. The narrator set a hat on the kitchen counter and asked if everyone was going to sleep over. Naruto agreed to stay, and Sasuke said he was okay with it. Sakura playfully invited Sasuke to share her room, which shocked both the narrator and Naruto. Sakura reassured them that she would build a pillow wall and then led Sasuke toward her room. The narrator nervously offered that Naruto could sleep in her room or in the guest room. Sakura shouted from her bedroom about Hinata's closet, and the narrator's eyes widened. The narrator laughed nervously and chose the guest room instead, then led Naruto upstairs and promised that because it was Saturday he could sleep in and she would make ramen in the morning, giving him extra blankets. In the guest bedroom, Naruto examined the space and admired how beautiful it was. The narrator explained that she had wanted this to be her room, but her current room made her happier. It was darker, had a better view of the city lights, and the closet was a little special. She giggled and said goodnight, and Naruto smiled in response. The narrator walked to her bedroom, locked the secret door to the studio, sighed, changed into pajamas, opened the curtains to enjoy the view of the city, and then went to bed. Claire's background. She was 5 feet 6 inches tall, with silver white hair and red eyes, and identified as female. She usually wore her hair down or in a side ponytail. Her last name was Roland. Claire had grown up in America with her mother while her father worked in Japan building the family company. When her mother remarried, Claire moved to Japan to live with her father. She was a devoted fan of Naruto and secretly enjoyed listening to Murasaki, though she kept that private because she knew Hinata liked the same music. Claire had a half-brother named Yuta who lived somewhere in Tokyo with his biological mother. Outwardly she could be sharp, but deep down she was gentle and kind. Under pressure from her father and feeling controlled by him, she nonetheless preferred being with him more often than with her mother because he was rarely at home due to work. Claire harbored strong feelings for Naruto. Hinata prepared for the duet nervously, realizing she had only recently heard about it. Sakura reminded her that they had learned about the duet 3 days earlier while brushing Hinata's hair and tried to calm her worries. Hinata fretted about not knowing which song they would sing. Sakura reassured her that Naruto would work it out and choose a familiar song. Sakura collected their masks and reminded Hinata not to worry. Hinata asked where Sakura's dress was, and Sakura said it was in her room, urging Hinata to hurry and get ready because they were leaving in 10 minutes. Sakura ran downstairs to put on her own dress. After putting on her necklace, Hinata descended the stairs awkwardly in heels while Sakura warned her to be careful. Sakura suggested flats, but Hinata insisted she could manage and felt taller in the heels. Sakura reassured her that as long as she could sing, everything would be fine. They grabbed their purses and headed for the elevator. Once they reached the lobby, Hinata took her shoes off to run to the other elevator for the parking garage. They hurried because if anyone noticed them they would be in trouble. Sakura fumbled with the keys and urged Hinata to get in the car quickly. Hinata reminded Sakura that yelling made her sound like a kidnapper, then slid into the car and put her shoes back on. Sakura handed Hinata a purple purse before they drove to the amusement park where the duet was scheduled. At the amusement park, Hinata adjusted her mask and stepped out of the car while Sakura straightened her dress. They looked around the mostly closed park for the stage, planning to split up and find it. A short neutral moment followed as they moved through the quiet park toward the central area where the event would take place. Hinata told Naruto to call her if he found it and to make sure he used their YouTube names as. They parted. Hinata hummed the tune to "Waving Through a Window" from Dear Evan Hansen as she walked beside the roller coaster. She nearly screamed when she ran into someone around the corner and looked up to find Naruto staring at her, surprised. Naruto apologized and explained that his manager had set the meeting up and that he had only recently learned about it. Hinata reassured him that it was fine and asked him if he knew where the stage was. Naruto admitted that he did not, and Hinata said she had been about to ask him the same thing. They agreed to find it together, and Naruto smiled brightly, which Hinata found hard not to notice. After wondering for a while, both of their phones began to ring. They turned away from each other to preserve a little privacy. Hinata answered and heard her father informing her that they were having lunch with the new neighbors and that Claire, whom he thought was Hinata's friend, would be coming along with the famous Naruto Uzimaki. He reminded Hinata not to make a scene. Hinata ended the call, thinking that her father had no idea she was dating Naruto, and then realized she had called him sir and panicked because he disliked that. She allowed herself a private, wry thought about his parenting without meaning offense. Naruto joked that it looked like he was having lunch with his girlfriend and his enemy, and Hinata tried to act oblivious when he mentioned girlfriend. Naruto quickly explained that he had not publicly announced it but that he was dating Hinata Hyuga, and he beamed that he loved her more than anything. Hinata blushed. Sakura called from a distance that she had found the stage. Hinata answered that she was coming as she and Naruto made their way there. Hinata momentarily fumbled over Sakura's nickname before correcting herself. At the stage, Naruto pulled out 2 chairs and set them at center stage. He asked which song they should sing and suggested, "Hey brother." Hinata said she knew the song and confirmed she understood the parts. Naruto asked if she knew which parts to sing, and Hinata said she had listened to the different vocal parts, which made him pleased. They decided to practice. After singing the song twice, people began to gather and set up chairs. Fans held signs that read things like Murasaki rules and Naruto is the best. A few people sat on the edge of the stage to talk with them. 3 girls in particular praised Hinata's singing and also Naruto's. One of the girls asked what it was like dating Naruto. Naruto quickly denied anything formal, and another friend hastily covered her mouth to indicate she meant that the 2 of them would make a cute couple. The girls left to join some boys, waving goodbye as Hinata smiled. A stage crew member informed them that it was time to start. Naruto went to get the microphones. A few minutes later, Naruto announced into the microphone that he was there with Murasaki for the night. Hinata greeted the crowd cheerfully. Naruto explained that they were going to sing "Hey Brother" by Avicii as the background music began to play. After the song ended, a long roar of screams and cheers rose from the crowd. She thought they had done well. Later that night, Hinata called out that she was heading to bed and Sakura told her to rest her voice from the other room. Hinata climbed into bed and read some melancholic fanfictions for a while, crying a little before falling asleep. Hinata's father informed her that she would not be joining them for lunch. She would be cooking and cleaning while he discussed business with Claire and Naruto. He explained that Claire was there because her father could not attend, but she knew enough. Hinata grumbled that she felt like Cinderella and stumbled into the kitchen. This was why she never came home. The doorbell rang, and Hinata sighed, certain it would be either someone pleasant or the one person she disliked the most. Naruto arrived with a bright smile, and her father asked if he knew Hinata. Naruto affirmed that he did, but their father cut him off, stating that Hinata was his daughter who attended Naruto's school and would be making lunch rather than eating with them. He led Naruto toward the dining room. One of the maids sighed that the scene felt like a Cinderella story. Hinata asked what she meant, and the maid brushed it off and returned to sweeping the stairs. Carrying cups of water into the dining room, Hinata asked if Claire had arrived yet, trying to sound as polite as she could when mentioning the name. Her father replied that Claire had not arrived, and questioned why Hinata could not join them for lunch. Naruto asked who Hina was, and their father pretended not to know, sipping his water. Naruto gave Hinata a confused look, and she signaled him to follow her. Naruto asked to use the bathroom, and their father said Hinata would show him the way. As they turned a corner together, Naruto asked what was wrong. Hinata explained that she had not told her family about their relationship because she had not been around them much and because her father largely disliked her. Naruto protested that he could not believe her father hated her and told Hinata she was adorable. Hinata thanked him and hugged him. Naruto asked whether they should tell her father about them. Hinata admitted she did not know how approving he would be but suggested they at least hint at it. Naruto cheered that they had a plan, and Hinata joined in. The doorbell rang again and Hinata's father called for her to answer it. Hinata stepped to the door while Naruto complained that he did not want to have lunch with Claire and would rather have lunch with Hinata. Claire stood at the door, smirking as she made a pointed remark about Hinata appearing to be the maid for the day. Hinata replied curtly and closed the door behind her. Naruto tried to intervene, but Claire seized him by the arm and called attention dramatically. Hinata's father announced that he had heard Naruto was dating someone and had not known it was Claire, implying that they should all go eat. Claire bragged that Naruto had been in love with her since her first day at school. Hinata felt her frustration spike and thought bitterly about Claire. Her father reacted with a pleased comment, and Claire continued, saying she had been lying about certain details and that she and Naruto had actually been dating online for a year, blushing as she said it. Her father, Claire, and Naruto moved into the dining room while Hinata took a moment alone in the kitchen to let out a quick, frustrated punch against the wall before returning to cook. She could not stand how no one let Naruto speak. They kept interrupting him while Claire went on about how perfect they were. Hinata texted Sakura, her best friend, for help. Hinata sent a message telling Sakura she needed her right away. Sakura replied with a joking question about who Hinata was planning to take down, then said she was coming over. Sakura arrived shortly after and produced a key, explaining she had her ways of getting in. Hinata decided against any rash confrontation and instead insisted they needed a plan. Sakura agreed to help calm things down and find a way to address the situation. Sakura's phone buzzed with a news alert about Naruto and Claire. Sakura showed Hinata the headline claiming that Naruto was dating Claire. The revelation sent them both into a momentary panic, and they hurried down the stairs to confront the situation. Hinata strode into the dining room and accused Claire. Her father scolded her for making a scene, and Sakura immediately defended Hinata, insisting Claire was lying. Their father told Sakura she could not speak to him like that, and Hinata, exasperated, told her father that she was busy and walked past him. Hinata confronted Claire directly, and Naruto stood up with a bright, confused expression. Hinata showed Naruto the news report on Sakura's phone. Naruto denied dating Claire and took the phone to examine the article in disbelief. Their father then approached, visibly angry, and admitted that he had been responsible for the report appearing. When Hinata asked why, he said he had done it because he believed Naruto and Claire were together and thought they looked cute. Naruto insisted he was already dating someone, prompting their father to ask who, not believing him. Naruto introduced Hinata proudly and pulled her into his arms. The narrator's sister ran down the stairs and screamed in surprise. The narrator looked confused and then introduced their younger sister Hinabi to Naruto nervously. Mr. Hyuga, the father, asked if Naruto was dating his daughter. Naruto smiled and affirmed that he was. Sakura suddenly spoke up and described Hinata as amazing. Mr. Hyuga chuckled. The narrator, Claire, stood and told him that calling his daughter amazing was too much. When Mr. Hyuga asked what she meant, Claire asked protectively if he did not think his daughter was amazing. He laughed and said his daughter was too shy to do anything. Claire called him rude and left, vowing to make sure he did not accept the business proposal. Naruto looked disappointed and said he would make sure not to accept either. The narrator told Mr. Hyuga that she never thought of him as her father and that she would not be coming back. She then followed an angry Sakura out of the house. Sakura, sliding into her car, bristled at Mr. Hyuga's words and insisted that Hinata was confident. She drove away, telling the others they would talk later. Naruto offered to drive the narrator back to the penthouse and open the car door for her. The narrator smiled despite feeling hurt by Mr. Hyuga's words. Back at the penthouse, Naruto said goodbye cheerfully as the elevator closed. The narrator sighed and flopped onto the couch. Sakura, who had been nearby, slid down the railing and pretended to fall. She assured the narrator she was fine. The narrator headed to bed, and Sakura said goodnight. Naruto thought about Hinata saying goodbye earlier and realized she had been picking up a trend from a friend. He wondered if she was a big fan. He could not shake Mr. Hyuga's dismissive remark. Naruto believed Hinata was more capable than anyone had given her credit for and suspected that was why she had moved out. He decided to get some sleep, knowing he would have to face questions from the press the next day about the rumors that he was dating Claire. On Monday, Naruto sat bored at a photo shoot, waiting for props. The producer handed him an axe to pose with for a cologne called Lumber, explaining the concept. Naruto questioned why he needed an axe but went along with it. After the shoot he arrived late to class and apologized. The teacher acknowledged that he had been at a photo shoot and let him sit down beside Hinata. A folded note landed on the narrator's desk. When the narrator unfolded it, the message asked how the photo shoot had gone. The narrator gave Hinata a thumbs up, Hinata smiled, and Naruto admired her smile. The teacher noticed the note and asked if they were passing notes. The narrator explained awkwardly that it was poetry, and the teacher warned them not to be caught doing it again. Hinata mouthed an apology and Naruto mouthed that it was fine. They then focused on the lesson. At lunch, Naruto complained inwardly about Mondays but enjoyed being at school because he could see Hinata. Hinata apologized for a long test earlier and explained it had been important. Cheyenne joined them and greeted everyone cheerfully. Hinata updated them that someone in the press had suggested Naruto was dating Claire. Cheyenne reacted dramatically, insisting the rumor had to be addressed, and she and Sakura called Claire over across the cafeteria. Claire defended herself, saying she had told people Naruto's feelings were real. Hinata, confused, asked for clarification. Sakura grabbed a bag of the narrator's Cheetos as she approached and offered them to Claire as a peace offering. Claire accepted a chip and immediately complained because it was extremely spicy. Sakura admitted she had laced the chips with hot sauce as a prank. The situation quickly escalated into a chaotic, anime-style food fight. Students ducked, threw food, and filmed the spectacle for social media as the cafeteria erupted in lively commotion. I fought because I had done this in a movie once and it was super fun, so why not try it in real life instead of on a set? Naruto told Hinata to get behind him and that he would protect her. A lunch tray landed in front of his face and a large helping of spaghetti spilled onto it. Hinata declared that she could protect both of them and climbed onto a table with Sakura and Cheyenne. Naruto wondered why it felt like he was on a battlefield. Sasuke, hiding under the table, insisted he was planning their next attack. Sasuke explained that Sakura would fight while he did the thinking. Sakura asked what their next attack should be, and Sasuke suggested throwing chicken nuggets like bullets and using the chocolate cake like a grenade. Sakura agreed enthusiastically. Naruto left them to their planning and climbed back up from under the table. The teacher demanded that the students stop and warned about bringing in Principal Tsunade. The teacher's threat quieted the cafeteria instantly. The teacher ordered everyone to go to their next class and instructed any students who had gotten dirty to change into their gym uniforms. Time passed. A girl asked Naruto if he was coming to the football game after school and clung to his arm. Claire interjected, saying that Naruto was coming with her as she pushed the other girl away and grabbed his arm. Naruto explained that he was going with Hinata and suggested Claire go with Caleb, then nudged Claire and Caleb together so they could talk. Caleb agreed with a small smile and walked away. Claire blushed and agreed awkwardly. Naruto felt a little triumphant at having pushed a ship forward. Hinata ran toward Naruto and greeted him with a shy hug. Naruto responded cheerfully. Sakura and Sasuke arrived, and Sakura, in her usual dramatic way, squeezed Hinata and joked about being her mother. Naruto teased Sasuke about being a dad, which made Sasuke protest and run off. Sakura chased after him, calling for him not to abandon their makeshift family. Hinata called after Naruto that she would see him in an hour as Sakura pursued Sasuke. Naruto waved goodbye and turned a corner to find Claire and Caleb happily talking together. They looked like an innocent couple, and Naruto wondered whether Claire's interest was genuine or motivated by other things. He decided to think about it later. Claire's POV. Claire waited in front of the school for Caleb. She had arrived early, not because he was late but because she liked being there before anyone else. In truth, she liked Caleb, but she was also drawn to Naruto and found herself unsure how she felt. Her father had told her to start dating someone rich and famous, which had made her consider Naruto at first, but she was uncertain whether she loved him romantically. Caleb greeted her and snapped her out of her thoughts. She apologized for zoning out. Caleb asked if she was ready for the football game, and she said she was. Caleb offered to get popcorn if Claire found a good seat. She ran to the bleachers and spotted Naruto and Hinata laughing together. Claire sighed at their happiness and resolved to stop interfering with them. She wanted to observe quietly and learn what having friends was like. She had only ever had one true friend before and had been betrayed when that friend turned out to be interested in money. She found a picnic table beneath the Sakura tree, appreciating the setting even in winter. Caleb joined her and praised her choice. They blushed and settled in. Caleb admitted he had not watched much football, and Claire said she had only seen it a couple of times but stayed to watch when it was on. They began to share popcorn. Hinata's POV. Hinata sat at the top of the bleachers with Naruto by her side. Sakura and Sasuke announced they were getting food and headed for the snacks. Tenten took a seat and joked that Niji was at the snack table. Ino and Sai joined them. Ino greeted Hinata warmly. Naruto glanced at Hinata after she responded shyly but quickly returned to his usual cheerful self. Sakura returned with snacks, playfully handing popcorn and chocolate to both Hinata and Naruto. Hinata waved to get Shien's attention, and Shien sat down next to them. Tenten and Ino were cheerful and energetic, filling the space with friendly banter. Hinata pointed out that Claire and Caleb had come together and looked happy. The group reacted with affection and mild surprise. Sakura called the sight adorable, and Ino admitted that even though she still disliked Claire, she could see a softer side. Tenten observed that Claire seemed to be enjoying herself, and Hinata agreed that it looked that way. The friends settled in to wait for the game, chatting and sharing snacks as the stadium filled and the afternoon sun began to lower. Shien asked what they were talking about. Hina admitted she did not know and then asked why the boys were not saying anything, looking toward them. When the game started, Hina announced that it had begun and one of the boys stammered in surprise. After the game, back in the penthouse, Hina told Naruto she would see him tomorrow and kissed his cheek. Naruto waved happily and said goodbye to Hina as the elevator doors closed. Hina sighed and went to get changed. Hina asked Sakura to set up the camera, and Sakura ran through the room and into the closet studio to do it. After Hina changed her clothes, she put on her mask and sat on the stool she always used. Hina greeted her viewers and explained that she had received many requests for another duet with Naruto on her channel, since not everyone could attend the concerts. She said she would try to ask him but that she could not control his answer. Hina announced that she would be singing Believer by Imagine Dragons and began to sing proudly. Naruto's point of view. Naruto was convinced it had to be her. The voice sounded identical, and now that he thought about it, the two even looked alike. He tried to focus on the teacher, but his attention kept drifting to the idea that Hinata had to be Murasake. He wondered why Hina was not at school that day. Hinata's point of view. Hinata sighed as her sister clasped her hand tightly. They were waiting for the nurses to say they could see their mother, but it had been a long time coming. Hinata and her sister were close to their mother. Their father was distant. Their mother had been hospitalized because she was ill, and despite all the medication they had tried, her condition was not improving. Hinata trusted her mother more than anyone, but she could not bring herself to tell her about being Murasake. It simply did not feel right. A nurse informed them that they could come in now, and Hinabi tightened her grip on Hinata's hand as they followed. Hinata offered a soft reassurance as the nurse opened the door. Hinabi let out a small gasp while Hinata kept a steady expression, though worry gnawed at her. Hinabi greeted their mother nervously and sat near her. Their mother returned a weak smile. She reached for a small box beside her and said she had some things she wanted them to have. She handed Hinabi a charm bracelet that had belonged to her own mother and asked Hinabi to take it. Hinabi began to tear up, clearly moved. Their mother then removed a necklace from her own neck and said she wanted Hinata to have it. She explained that the necklace had been given to her by her first love and held many precious memories. Hinata asked why she would give it away if it was so dear to her, and their mother laughed softly, then noted that Hinata had a boyfriend and that she believed the two of them would be together for a long time. A nurse soon stepped in to say they needed to leave for more tests. Hinata and Hinabi said their goodbyes. Their father did not appear. In the car afterwards, Hinabi asked Hinata if she could make a video about their mother on her channel. Hinata was startled that her sister knew about the channel, and Hinabi teased that she knew her own sister well. Hinabi urged her to do it, and Hinata agreed. Later, Hinata arrived at school late and handed a late pass to the teacher, blushing as the classmates' attention landed on her. She took her seat and avoided looking directly at Naruto, who seemed suspicious to her. At lunch, Sakura ran up to Hinata, out of breath from calling her name. Hinata climbed into the tree they used to sit in and said she had been at the hospital. Sakura, who was the only friend who knew about Hinata's mother, listened as Hinata twisted the necklace her mother had given her. Naruto approached and asked if everything was okay. Sakura asked him what was wrong, and Naruto said he had figured something out. When Hinata asked what he had discovered, Naruto acknowledged that he knew Hinata was Murasake. Hinata reacted with exasperation, and Sakura lamented that their hard work had been undone. Naruto admitted he had recognized Hinata's voice when she uploaded a video and had put the pieces together. Hinata sighed, stepped down from the tree, and smiled. She said there were no more secrets between them. Naruto returned a quick, supportive hug. Sasuke then appeared behind the tree, and Hinata remarked on how simple the revelation had been. Sakura exclaimed in surprise and embarrassment when Sasuke arrived. Naruto noted that only he and Sasuke knew the secret, and Sakura complained that was too many people to know. Sakura calmed and complimented Hinata on how well she had taken the news. Hinata said she had planned to tell Naruto eventually, so perhaps this had been for the best. Sakura asked Sasuke why he was there, and he said he had just felt like showing up. Sakura teased that Sasuke now knew his daughter's secret, prompting Sasuke to react dramatically and dash off as Sakura chased after him, Hinata laughing as she followed. Naruto's point of view again. Naruto felt validated that he had been right, and he was impressed at how well Hinata had handled the situation. He also sensed someone watching them and decided to investigate. Scanning the area, his eyes landed on a figure with white hair. He ran over and, in a dramatic anime-style move, tapped the figure on the forehead as an accusation. Naruto confronted Tonari, demanding to know why he had been spying on them. Tonari responded with a sharp retort and suggested that he had reasons. He claimed he had signed a contract with Hinata's father, implying a future obligation. He smirked and told her she could not do anything about it. Hinata growled and walked away, determined to prove him wrong. Little did she know what was going to happen next. Hinata sighed as she plopped onto her bed and sent a text to her sister, greeting her. Her sister replied that their father was his usual bossy self and had been talking about arranging a marriage with Tonari. Hinata's sister reacted with surprise. Her sister then clarified that their father had signed papers arranging the marriage for when Hinata finished high school, which would be in about 5 months. Hinata frantically dialed her father's number and pressed the phone to her ear. Her father explained that he had signed the papers for Hinata and Tonari to marry after high school, because Tonari had money and valuable business connections, and Hinata would not have any say in the matter. Hinata began to protest, but the line went dead. Hinata screamed in frustration. Sakura, hearing her from the other room, asked if she was okay. Hinata explained that their father had signed a contract forcing her to marry Tonari after high school. Sakura reacted angrily and offered to help, immediately volunteering to call Naruto. 10 minutes later, Naruto burst into the room, loudly vowing that Tonari would learn about this today. Hinata muttered about wanting to disappear, and Naruto reassured her with determination, promising he would fix things. He gave a light, comforting pat on her head to show he meant it. Hinata lifted her head and accepted his promise. Sakura teased them about being a nice ship and snapped pictures from different angles as Naruto and Hinata tried to cool down. Naruto suggested they do a duet to take their minds off the situation, and Hinata agreed since fans had been asking for one. Sakura led them into her closet, opened the studio door she had built, and proudly showed the small recording space she had designed. Naruto marveled at the setup and praised Hinata for her talent. He hugged the side of her head in a friendly, encouraging gesture. Sakura set up a stool and the camera, and they prepared to record. Hinata put on her mask and the three of them counted down while recording. Hinata announced that she had convinced Naruto to do a duet and mentioned that they would sing "Somebody to You" by the Vamps. They performed the song together. Afterwards, Naruto complimented her performance and gave her a side hug. Hinata explained to the viewers that she had previously had a boyfriend and that was all she would say on the matter for now. They waved goodbye to the camera and finished recording. Sakura praised their work and began uploading the video, promising to post it in the morning. Naruto checked the time and said he had to leave but would be back after school the next day. He gently kissed Hinata's forehead as a comforting gesture, waved goodbye to Sakura, and left. As soon as the door closed, Hinata remembered the marriage arrangement and burst into panic again, both she and Sakura erupting into frantic conversation on the couch. Eventually they settled and reminded themselves that after high school she would be 18 and might not have to follow the contract her father had signed. The next day at home, their father insisted that the marriage would go forward when she was 17, dismissing Hinata's objections. Hinata and Naruto protested loudly, and their father snapped that he knew what he was doing. He then glanced at the necklace Hinata wore, the one their mother had given her, and demanded to know about it. Hinata answered that it was their mother's necklace, and her father ordered her to hand it over, claiming he needed to get rid of it because of who had given it to their mother. Hinata refused and accused him of never having cared for the family. Naruto stepped between them to protect Hinata when their father reached for the necklace. Hinata angrily smacked his hand away and refused to surrender the keepsake. She then left the house, shutting the door behind her. Naruto walked beside her down the sidewalk and asked if she regretted confronting her father. Hinata admitted she wasn't sure, but they both agreed they would face the consequences together. Naruto reached out to hold her hand, which made Hinata chuckle and call his reassurance cringy but sweet. As they walked, Tonari approached them, addressing Hinata by name and acknowledging Naruto. Hinata reacted sharply, and Tonari said that he needed the necklace. His manner was polite but firm. Hinata was stunned by his request. Hinata groaned that everyone wanted the flippity-floppity necklace. Naruto said that they were walking away as they moved around Tonari. Tonari yelled for them to come back when they were about 10 feet away. Naruto yelled that they had walked past him and that he could have gotten them. Hinata suspected that her father had put Tonari up to it when Tonari called someone on his phone and insisted he would get the necklace. Tonari's POV. Tonari apologized to Mr. Hyuga and admitted that he had not gotten the necklace. Hayashi scolded him for not trying harder and ordered that when Tonari did get it, he should put it in the vault. Hayashi added that if Tonari did not secure the necklace by after Christmas, he would not be able to marry Hinata. Tonari nodded and left, thinking that he might get suspended if he was caught but determined that he would get that necklace. Hinata's POV. Hinata shouted that Naruto was late as she ran into the classroom and announced that it was almost Christmas. Naruto replied that he was very excited. Sakura complained that they still had to come to school and wished they had more than a week off. Sasuke yawned and pointed out that it was the last day until the break. Hinata admitted that she still had many presents to get. Hinata suggested that she and Naruto do a duet for Christmas, and Naruto thought that would be great, asking Sasuke to help film it. Sakura squealed at the idea, and Sasuke agreed. Claire entered the classroom smiling brightly. One of Claire's friends asked Hinata why Claire was so happy, and Claire replied that there was no reason while continuing to smile. Naruto murmured that it was interesting as they all stared at Claire. Girls began to scream down the hall when Naruto appeared. Sakura watched as about half of the girls in the school surrounded Naruto with gifts. Naruto asked awkwardly if the gifts were for him and thanked them as they set the gifts on his desk. Tonari pushed the girls aside and gripped Hinata's hand. Tonari greeted Hinata and asked what had brought her there. Hinata told him that she went to school there and pulled her hand away. Naruto growled that since Tonari also went to school there, he should go to his correct class. Tonari told Naruto not to get mad and then paused to stare at Hinata's necklace. Hinata quickly covered the necklace with her hands. Tonari then presented Hinata with a small box as a gift and insisted that she open it. Hinata opened it cautiously and found a ring. Ino entered the classroom and assumed it was an engagement ring, asking Naruto if he had finally built up the courage. Naruto stuttered that they had only been dating for a month or two. Hinata clarified that the ring was from Tonari and demanded an explanation. Tonari smiled and said they were getting married and that it was either that or an onion ring. Hinata replied that she would rather take the onion ring. Tenten appeared and reminded Hinata that wasting food would be wrong. Tonari protested that he had signed a contract declaring they would be married. Hinata handed the ring back and insisted they would not get married. Tonari smirked and said that she could not get out of the contract, and Hinata crossed her arms and declared that she could run away. Tonari muttered they would see about that and left the classroom. Naruto insisted that he would not let the marriage happen and promised to protect Hinata. Sakura and Sasuke voiced their agreement. Cheyenne unexpectedly joined in, saying she would not let Hinata get married yet either. After school, Naruto cheered that it was finally winter break as he, Hinata, Sakura, and Sasuke walked to the penthouse. They had agreed to stay at the penthouse over winter break to spend Christmas together. Sakura asked if everyone had their gifts, and Naruto and Sasuke said they did. Hinata noted that she still had a few to buy, and Sakura admitted she had shopping to do as well. They arrived at the hotel and Hinata greeted the manager, Betsy, who replied happily and was setting up Christmas decorations. The friends rode the elevator to the penthouse. Sakura ran in and flopped onto the couch, and Sasuke warned her to be careful. Hinata and Naruto cooed that Sasuke cared. Sakura called for Hinata to make sugar cookies with her future son-in-law while she and her father decorated. Naruto smiled and dragged Hinata into the kitchen to start baking. They gathered flour, vanilla, and other ingredients and began making dough. Naruto commented that Hinata must bake a lot, and Hinata explained that Sakura often made her bake sugar cookies. Hinata cracked eggs as Naruto watched. Hinata asked if Naruto was excited for Christmas, and Naruto responded enthusiastically. Hinata paused to put some cookies in the oven and suggested they talk while they waited. Naruto agreed and followed her to the living room. Hinata mentioned that Naruto's birthday was October 10th, making him older than her, and Naruto asked when her birthday was. Hinata admitted that her birthday was December 27th and that she was not very fond of it because it was right after Christmas. Naruto said he could get more gifts and held her hands, and Hinata blushed and stammered that he did not have to, but Naruto smiled and insisted that he would. He smiled and told me he could not be the kind of boyfriend who did not get me presents for my birthday. I mumbled that I was okay and hid my flushed face. The oven timer beeped and I hurried to take the cookies out. After decorating and finishing the cookies, Sasuke complimented Hinata on them and told her they were great. I thanked him happily. Sakura announced that they should go to sleep because tomorrow was Christmas. Naruto asked where everyone should sleep, and I explained the guest rooms and the layout. Sakura offered to take Sasuke upstairs, and Sasuke followed her. Naruto and I exchanged goodnights. I led Naruto to the guest room next to mine and mentioned it had a better view. Naruto admired the view, and I explained that we shared a balcony and that the room was a little smaller than mine. I fetched extra pillows and blankets from the closet. Naruto said goodnight, kissed my forehead, and I stammered in response as I left the room. I sighed as I shut my door and looked out the window one last time before going to sleep. Naruto woke and changed into his regular clothes, temporarily confused because he had slept at the penthouse. Sasuke entered without knocking and flopped into a chair. Sasuke explained Sakura's tradition of putting mistletoe over people she shipped and cringed while describing it, then invited Naruto to join. Naruto agreed and went to the guest bathroom to get dressed. Sasuke urged him to hurry. Naruto quickly put on a plain black shirt, an orange coat, black pants, and orange sneakers, then announced that he was ready. He walked into the living room to find Hinata watching Ouran High School Host Club. Naruto asked if Hinata was ready, and Hinata reacted to the show, saying she did not know what she wanted ship-wise and burying her face in a pillow. Sakura came downstairs and declared that they were going out to do some shipping, with Sasuke close behind carrying a bag full of mistletoes. Hinata wondered if they really needed so many mistletoe pieces. Sakura insisted they did. Hinata and Sakura rushed into the elevator, excited. Out in town, Sakura spotted a couple of slightly younger students and pointed them out. The group paused and decided not to involve themselves with that couple, then moved on. Later, Hinata and Sakura spotted Ino and Sai. Hinata taped a mistletoe onto a stick and carefully hovered it above the pair's heads as Ten shouted encouragement from down the street. Ino and Sai shared a quick, affectionate moment and smiled, which made Naruto and Sasuke exchange a puzzled look. Sakura suggested finding one more couple before heading home to make more cookies. The group noticed Claire and Caleb entering a coffee shop and slipped in behind them. Claire ordered 2 hot chocolates politely, and after they received their drinks they sat at a small corner table. The group followed them inside. Hinata whispered that they could not use the stick inside and that they would have to act differently this time. Sasuke suggested dressing up as mechanics and pretending to fix the vent above Claire and Caleb's table. Hinata went to the register and asked to see Niji. The cashier nodded and went to fetch him. Niji appeared and led them to the back of the store. Naruto asked Niji if he worked there, and Niji confirmed that he did. Niji then handed them a musty mechanic suit. I told Naruto bluntly that he should wear it. Naruto asked why him. I explained that he was an actor and could look good in anything. Naruto groaned and walked into the bathroom to change. 5 minutes later, Sasuke asked what had taken so long. Naruto admitted he did not know how to put it on and sighed. Hinata handed him a mistletoe and asked him to hang it on the vent. Naruto agreed and went to hang it while we followed him to the seating area. Naruto announced to the room that he needed to hang something, deepening his voice. Caleb glanced up and wondered if it was Naruto, but accepted the explanation and went back to his hot chocolate. Naruto finished hanging the mistletoe and returned to where we watched them closely. 10 minutes later, Hinata observed that the others had not noticed and were still drinking hot chocolate, though they were having a nice time together. Claire glanced up and then stared at the mistletoe. Caleb looked up too and smiled, taking Claire's hands. Claire reacted in surprise as Caleb leaned in and they shared a sweet, shy moment. Claire covered her flushed face with her hands and Caleb beamed, calling her adorable. We all squealed and drew attention. Tenten appeared and announced that her job was done. Naruto pointed out she had not done anything obvious. Tenten said nothing, flipped her hair, and left smiling. Hinata suggested it was time to head home, and I agreed, stepping out from hiding. Naruto laughed at how eventful the evening had been and reminisced about last year when Sakura had gone to great lengths to make people share affectionate moments. Hinata held Naruto's hand and sighed. I told Sasuke to look at Naruto and Hinata being all cute. Sasuke replied that we could be cute too. I turned to look and saw Sasuke holding a mistletoe above Sakura's head. Sasuke and Sakura shared a tender, affectionate moment. Naruto and I enthusiastically took plenty of pictures of them because it was our favorite couple being adorable. Hinata's POV. I was happily sleeping until Sakura burst into my room, loudly wishing me a Merry Christmas. I mumbled a sleepy reply and rolled to the other side of the bed. Sakura reminded me that if I did not wake up we could not scare Naruto and Sasuke awake, which jolted me upright. We slipped into slippers and tiptoed upstairs, stopping at Sasuke's room. I asked how we should handle it. Sakura said to make it up as we went along, then opened the door and crept beside his bed. I called out that Naruto was in danger. Sasuke grunted and turned over sleepily. I said Sakura had a paper cut. He shot upright and asked where she was. Sakura jumped into his bed and cuddled him. I backed out and said I would give them some space, but then remembered we also had to wake Naruto up. Sakura pulled Sasuke down the stairs with us. Sasuke asked what we should do. I told him not to worry and to go along with my plan. I walked into Naruto's room and sat on the edge of his bed. Naruto groaned and asked who I was. I said he needed to wake up because the kids were waiting for him. Naruto peeked out from under his blanket and asked what kids. I said that Sakura's and Sasuke's children were here this year, and ours too. Naruto was bewildered and asked when we had gotten kids. Sakura, demonstrating her acting, chimed in that it had been 5 years ago and asked if he was feeling all right. Naruto suspected a prank. We all admitted we were pranking him, pointing out that Sasuke's silence was a giveaway, since Sasuke would have yanked me out of bed and scolded me if I had taken too long to process the morning. We decided it had been a good try and moved on, dragging everyone to the kitchen. Sakura noted that we might have made too many cookies and wondered what to do with them. I suggested eating them. Naruto stuffed cookies into his mouth and we laughed. Sakura described a dream about a house overflowing with cookies in which Naruto ate them all. I said I had the same dream, and we teased each other. Sasuke jokingly called me a ray of pitch black and we all laughed. Naruto asked what we would do that day. Sakura said we should open presents and make sure our friends received gifts too. Naruto ran to get his gifts from the guest room, and Sasuke went upstairs for his as well. Sakura said in a serious tone that this was the moment where we parted ways until next time, creating an awkward silence. She then excused herself and left. My gifts were already under the tree, so I decided to make hot chocolate while I waited. I prepared mugs with hot chocolate powder and put candy canes in each. Sakura slid down the railing and made sure Sasuke did not fall. I called that the hot chocolate was ready and Naruto rushed in, bumping into the counter and groaning when he bumped it. I checked that he was okay and patted his head. With hot chocolate in hand, Sakura declared it was time to open presents. She tossed her gift at Sasuke and sat on the living room floor like a child. I sat next to Sakura on the floor and told Sasuke to open it. Sasuke obliged and unwrapped the box. It had been only 2 days since Christmas, and everyone was back at school. Hinata climbed the stairs to Sakura's room, sleepy and slow. Sakura shot up from her bed fully dressed and announced that she was up, then laughed and wished Hinata a happy birthday before racing downstairs to prepare a surprise at school. Hinata checked her phone calendar, realized it really was her 17th birthday, and felt a small, complicated weight at the thought of being 17 and the responsibilities that might follow. She shook the thought away, ate a quick breakfast of candy and soda, and finished getting ready in her uniform. At the school gates she tried to act as if it were any ordinary day. Birthdays had never been celebrated for her before, visits to their mother at the hospital were restricted, and her father was always at work. Hinabi and Sakura were the only ones who knew the date by heart. Ino waved a hand and asked if Hinata was all right, noticing her dazed look. Hinata blinked back and admitted she had been spacing out. Ino teased that judging people was one of her hobbies, then hugged Hinata and handed her a box of chocolates, remembering the date. Hinata felt thankful and a little hollow at the same time. When Hinata entered the classroom, she found the students gathered around her and Naruto's desk, keeping something hidden. Tonari took Hinata's hand and led her to the library, explaining that they should talk for a moment while the others finished setting up. He mentioned that she was 17 now and produced a small box as a gift. Hinata opened it to find a delicate gold Eiffel Tower necklace. Tonari said he had thought she might like it. She smiled, grateful for the kind gesture, and allowed him to help her fasten it around her neck. Behind that polite moment, Tonari's thoughts worked quietly. He had planned to swap the necklace Hinata already wore with the one he had given her. As he put the Eiffel Tower piece on, he unhooked the other necklace she wore at the request of Mr. Hyuga, removed it carefully, and clipped the new piece in its place. He hoped she would not notice. When Naruto returned to take Hinata back to the classroom, Hinata accepted his hand and went with him, smiling but distracted. Tonari watched them go, feeling a mix of satisfaction and unease. He had stolen something without her knowing, and he did not yet know why Mr. Hyuga had wanted the original necklace. Naruto led Hinata back into the classroom where everyone burst in with shouts and a coordinated surprise. Their classmates formed a circle and greeted Hinata enthusiastically, and several students hung onto her in a warm group hug until she laughed and asked to breathe. The class presented gifts in turn. Sakura gave a new phone case, Ino chose a dress, Tenten offered a set of cat ear headphones, Shine gifted stickers for her computer, Sasuke brought a giant stuffed panda, Sai and Niji both brought cozy blankets. When it was Naruto's turn, he handed Hinata a small box containing a charm bracelet. Her face lit up with genuine happiness, and she hugged him tightly while many of their classmates photographed the moment and shared it online. Whatever. Their relationship needed to be public anyway. He felt a little worried that his fans might hate Hinata being his girlfriend. Maybe she was used to criticism since she was Murasaki. He would hate that. Later that day, Hinata smiled and thanked them as they carried her gifts back to the penthouse. Sakura suggested they record a video while setting the gifts down on Hinata's bed, and Hinata agreed. Sasuke asked where they were going as he followed them into the closet. Hinata opened the studio doors, grabbed a bag of Twizzlers from the mini snack bar, and explained that it was the studio. Sasuke looked around and asked why the studio was in her closet. Hinata replied that it seemed as good a place as any, and Sasuke sighed in resignation. Sakura handed a mask to Hinata and informed Naruto that the video would not be a duet, so he could just relax. Naruto accepted and enjoyed the Twizzlers Hinata had put down. Sakura counted down and pressed the record button on the camera. Hinata announced that she was back after a while, hoped everyone had a good Christmas, and said she would be singing This Town by Kaigo before starting the background music. Hinata giggled and thanked the viewers, adding that her favorite kind of chips was the rare honey Buddha. She waved goodbye to the camera before Sakura stopped the recording. Sakura plugged the camera into the computer and said she would upload the footage before they all did something together. Hinata sighed, removed her mask, and accused the others of eating her Twizzlers. Naruto and Sasuke froze with Twizzlers in their mouths and pointed at each other, each pretending the other was responsible. Tonari's POV. Tonari entered Hayashi's office and sat cautiously in the chair across from the desk. Hayashi asked menacingly whether Tonari had secured the necklace. Tonari confirmed and set the necklace on the desk. Hayashi told him, without emotion, that having the necklace meant he could now marry Hayashi's daughter. Tonari stammered and asked how the marriage would happen, noting that Hinata did not want to leave Naruto. Hayashi suggested threatening her or using someone important to her as leverage. Tonari protested that he wanted to marry Hinata but did not want to ruin her life. Hayashi reminded him that without the marriage their two companies would lose their partnership and Tonari's company would fall. Tonari, shaken, said he would leave. Alone in the corridor, Tonari worried that he could not let his father's company fail. He told himself he was only doing what his father wanted, though he resented that thought. He loved Hinata and wanted her to be happy, and he knew she was happy with Naruto, but the pressure from his father forced him to act. Hinata's POV. Hinata burst into Sakura's room, asking where her necklace was. Sakura sat up and suggested checking by the bed. Hinata explained she had already looked in the studio and throughout the penthouse, and she became increasingly panicked. Sakura assured her they would find it and slipped into a bag to get extra clothes. She asked Hinata to cover her while she changed, and Hinata hurried to close the elevator doors to prevent anyone from walking in. Sakura quickly changed and tied her hair into a ponytail. Sakura handed Hinata a different outfit and suggested they not wear school uniforms that day, since they needed to look for the necklace. Hinata went to change in the lobby bathroom while Sakura stayed nearby. When Hinata walked back out, Sakura complimented how cute she looked. Sakura reassured her they would find the necklace, joking that they might even end up in trouble looking for it. A bystander passed with a smirk and made a vague comment that made them uncomfortable. Naruto burst into the lobby and asked what had happened. Hinata explained she had lost her mother's locket, describing it as a heart-shaped locket with small blue stones, made of 24-karat gold, entrusted to her by her mother. She became distressed over losing something so meaningful. Sasuke asked where she had last seen it. Hinata remembered it being on her when Tonari had been putting an Eiffel Tower necklace on her the previous day. Furious, she accused Tonari and rushed outside for Sakura's car. Sakura teased her about watching Stranger Things again and asked how Hinata had gotten the car keys. They all piled into the car and drove off. Hinata vowed to confront Tonari. Sasuke warned her to calm down, and when Hinata suggested confronting him forcefully, Sasuke refused to encourage violence. Sakura steered the car toward the neighborhood where Tonari lived, which Hinata thought might be called Emerald Street. At Tonari's house, Sakura banged on the front door. A woman opened and angrily asked what they wanted. Sakura asked where Tonari was. The woman said he was at the Hyuga residence. They thanked her and left. At the Hyuga home, Hinabi ran down the stairs when Hinata called for their father. Hinabi explained that their father had gone somewhere with Tonari earlier and had mentioned something about high security. Hinata asked if their father had the locket. Hinabi thought he had seen a heart necklace but was not sure. Hinata realized Tonari had taken their mother's locket and said she had to go after him. Hinabi pointed out that their father had mentioned high security and that they could get arrested, but Hinata insisted she could not let the theft go unanswered. Naruto waited at the car as they prepared to leave. Hinata told Hinabi to stay behind and said they would try to find Tonari and their father. The group got back into the car and headed toward the only high-security bank in Konoha. Sasuke warned that if they got arrested it would be someone else's fault, and Sakura laughed as she drove them into the underground parking lot. Sakura told everyone to get out and said they were going to form a plan on the wall with the chalk she kept in the trunk. Naruto asked why she carried chalk in her car. Sakura demanded that he stop asking questions and think of a plan, and she pulled a box of chalk from the car. Sakura drew a circle on the brick wall to mark where they were standing and then drew a square 2 feet above the circle to show where the necklace was being held. The narrator laughed and teased that Sakura had no idea what she was doing. Sakura smiled casually and admitted she did not have a clue. Sasuke said to come with him because he had taken a hacking class over the summer and could access the security cameras, and they all ran up the stairs. Naruto asked why Sasuke had taken a hacking class. Sasuke answered that there was no particular reason. Sasuke explained that the security room was usually on the first floor and that they were almost out of the underground parking. Sakura trailed off and agreed. Naruto pointed out the first floor as they pushed the door open. The narrator noted that there should be a lot of security guards inside. Naruto grinned and said they would have to sneak around like ninjas, and the narrator and Sakura cheered quietly. Naruto and Sasuke shushed the group. They crept around the corner and got a clear view of the control room. Their mission was to get inside and then make their way to the safe that held the narrator's mother's necklace without getting arrested. Hinata moved quickly and sprinted into the supply closet, urging everyone to follow. Naruto immediately noted that there were only uniforms and wondered aloud what they would do with them. Sasuke, half amused, asked if Hinata had ever watched crime shows. Hinata instructed Naruto and Sasuke to turn around while she and Sakura changed and warned them not to peek as she grabbed a guard uniform. Sasuke soon complained and asked if they were done, and Hinata answered that they were. Sasuke and Naruto put on their uniforms as she and Sakura finished dressing with their backs turned. A few minutes later, Hinata chided them for taking so long. Naruto struggled with the shoes, and Hinata turned to help him, slipping the shoe on. Sasuke muttered that the situation reminded him of Cinderella, but Hinata pushed them to hurry, reminding them that the longer they waited the longer her mother's necklace remained in danger. Naruto asked why the necklace was at risk, and Hinata explained that her father wanted to get rid of it for reasons she guessed were tied to his dislike of the man who had given it to her mother. She crept out the door with the others. Hinata stood up firmly and led them down the hall with instructions to act like they belonged there. The guard called for them to halt, and they turned to see a guard with a holstered gun. Sasuke responded firmly when the guard demanded identification. The guard asked if they were the new unit assigned to guard Sir Tonari's necklace, and Hinata confirmed that they were. The guard instructed them to follow and guided them toward the elevator. The guard led them down to a highly secured room and warned that he would lock the outside door. If anyone got through, they would have to deal with them. Naruto acknowledged the order. Once the outside doors were locked, Hinata set to work on the safe. Sakura idly flipped through a nearby magazine and commented that the necklace would look great on Hinata, but Hinata reminded her she was trying to crack the safe. Sakura pouted that she wanted to go home. Naruto joked about wanting to go to the moon as he and Sasuke looked for an exit. Hinata opened the safe quickly and pulled the box containing the necklace free, and Sasuke asked how she had done it so fast. Hinata shrugged and said it was lots of practice. Sakura moved to unlock the door and urged them to leave immediately. Naruto was surprised they could have opened the door the whole time, and Sakura shoved the door open. Sasuke warned that security cameras had probably spotted them and were sending people after them, so they rushed out. As they ran, Sasuke suddenly announced he had felt an emotion, which sent Naruto into a small panic. 5 minutes later they were in the getaway car when pursuing officers found them. Naruto urged Hinata to speed up, and she accelerated, weaving past police vehicles. Sasuke pointed out that she was speeding, and Hinata replied that she had noted the posted speeds but had to go faster. The drive grew tense as they argued and tried to stay calm. Sakura began to panic in the back seat, and Naruto told her she needed to quiet down. Hinata tried to keep them focused and suggested a distraction plan: pull into a nearby high school where training cars would be available. Sakura and Sasuke leapt out as Hinata and Naruto pulled the car toward the school. They planned to use the other cars to draw pursuers away. Naruto asked what their exit strategy was, then admitted he feared they were all going to die. Hinata found a temporary hiding spot behind a building and teased that they were safer there, if not completely safe, then headed back onto the road. Hinata drove with a dramatic mixture of frustration and determination, joking about needing patience and an untraceable weapon as she sped. Naruto asked about the direction Sakura and Sasuke had taken. Hinata deduced their route from subtle clues, then handed Naruto her phone to show a message they had received from the other two. Naruto suggested ignoring the police and hoping they would go away, but Hinata warned that ignoring a dozen police cars would not make them disappear. The officers ordered them to pull over under threat of force. Hinata complied briefly, and Naruto immediately feared they were going to jail. Hinata asked Naruto if he trusted her and, when he said no, decided to act regardless. She stepped out of the car while the police held their positions, asserting that she was not armed. Naruto whispered that they were surrounded, and Hinata replied that being surrounded meant they could act from any direction, though Naruto questioned with what weapons. Before they could finish planning, A sudden loud crack filled the air and Hinata felt a sharp sting in her arm. The moment hit like an exaggerated action scene, colors and motion blurring for an instant as everything sped up around them. Hinata looked down and saw blood on her sleeve. She realized she had been shot and winced, panic fluttering through her. Naruto reacted with angry concern that she had been shot, and Hinata told him to calm down while pressing a hand to the wound. The police ordered them to come along or no one would be hurt, and Naruto accused them of already shooting her. Hinata warned that she would bring Tonari to jail with them or run away again. An officer dismissed it as not much of a threat but said Tonari was the one she had taken from. Hinata protested that Tonari had stolen from her and she had taken back what was hers. When an officer said they needed to treat her wound, Hinata warned him sharply not to touch her and climbed into the squad car, where she saw Sakura and Sasuke. Sakura hurried over, alarmed that Hinata had been shot, and asked if she was all right. Hinata said she was fine, though she still winced. Noticing Naruto's unusual silence, Hinata asked if he was okay. Naruto admitted he was not and then embraced her. 10 minutes later in the police interrogation room, after Hinata's arm had been treated, the detective asked for an explanation. Hinata said that Tonari had stolen her mother's necklace and she had gone to retrieve it. The detective expressed disbelief that she had gone so far for a necklace, and Hinata replied angrily that she had. Sakura urged her to calm down, and Hinata sighed in agreement. When the detective asked if everyone knew what had happened, the group affirmed. The detective said he would bring Tonari in while the four waited in a cell, and an officer led them there. Naruto made a weary remark about the change of scenery. Sakura pointed out that it was a prison cell, and Naruto admitted he had been sarcastic. Hinata apologized for dragging them into the situation, but Naruto insisted it was not her fault. Sakura added that none of it would have happened if not for Tonari. Hinata cried and hugged them all. An officer opened the cell and announced their release. The detective explained that Tonari had confessed and would be assigned community service instead of prison, and he then escorted Tonari forward. Tonari asked Hinata why she had not been afraid of him. Hinata replied that she had worse nightmares about failing AP chemistry. Tonari apologized sincerely and said he had wanted to have a life with her. When Hinata asked if he had wanted to force that life on her, Tonari denied it and explained that her father had thought a marriage between them would be good for business. He admitted he had been selfish and apologized. Naruto took Hinata's hand and told her they should go. He asked the police not to expose the incident to the public, and the officers nodded. They left together while Hinata still felt a knot of guilt in her gut. Their car remained stranded in the middle of town. I smiled and gave a small wave, then Sakura turned off the camera. It wasn't the best ending for the vlog, but at least I had posted a video. I hoped people would like it. Recently I had been getting some hurtful comments about my interactions with Naruto, messages saying they loved me but that I was ruining Naruto's career. It stung, but I decided I should get some sleep. Naruto reacted in disbelief that she had gotten him the jacket and pointed out that it must have cost a lot. Sakura responded that she was welcome. Sasuke smiled and I thanked him, surprised by the rare smile. I handed Sakura the gift that Sasuke had chosen for her. Sakura carefully opened it, and before any of us could see the contents she cried out and hugged Sasuke. Naruto and I peeked into the box and found a complete set of cooking supplies, with an especially impressive assortment of knives. Naruto joked that the knife selection was a little twisted, and Sakura laughed at the comparison, teasingly asking if that made her a candy cane. I laughed along with them. Then it was my turn to hand out presents. Sasuke received a sweatshirt that matched the one Sakura had gotten, and Naruto received a ramen-themed sweatshirt. Everyone thanked me except Sasuke, who simply smiled. I celebrated that small victory quietly. Sakura handed a box to Naruto and another to me, explaining that they were gifts from her and Sasuke. We opened them to find several mistletoes. I asked where they had gotten so many, and Sakura teased us, taking pictures of the moment. Naruto and I were still new to dating and became embarrassed whenever people drew attention to our relationship. Sakura kept taking photos until she gently nudged us together. They shared a brief, shy, tender moment. Naruto reacted with a flush of embarrassment and hurried everyone along, tossing gifts around to change the subject. After a short break to calm down, they returned to enjoying the day. Sakura remarked that it had been a good Christmas while she ate a cookie. I agreed, noting that they had ended up sending the rest of the gifts to friends instead of visiting them because I had been feeling too lazy to go out. It was fine with everyone, and we spent the rest of the evening relaxing and snacking together. Hinata's POV. Hinata sat in the police station filling out paperwork on Valentine's Day, feeling the moment was less than ideal. An officer opened the door and told her she could leave. She thanked him and walked out to Naruto. Sakura and Sasuke had already gone home, and Naruto had promised to wait for her. Hinata apologized for being a bad girlfriend. Naruto laughed and hugged her, telling her she had been the best girlfriend and that he had had the most fun in years. He suggested they go to the fair because it was Valentine's Day, and Hinata agreed, giggling as they climbed into the car. Naruto beamed as he started the engine. At the fair, Hinata marveled at a bouncy castle. Naruto warned that she was too old for it, but Hinata ran toward it anyway. She announced she had to make a scene and climbed in. Naruto, watching for adults who might be suspicious, protested quietly. Hinata pointed to a sign that read Public Bouncy House and told him there was no age limit. Naruto grumbled but followed her inside. Inside, Hinata spotted small animals and whispered about them. Naruto observed that those were children. Hinata waved it off and began jumping around. She grabbed Naruto's arm and suggested they get ice cream. Naruto admitted he was tired but said he had been hoping the outing would make him feel better after robbing a bank, which made Hinata smile despite herself. They left the bouncy castle after only a few seconds. Naruto commented on how short their time had been and asked if she was all right. Hinata said she was not and then sat on a nearby bench while Naruto sat beside her. She confessed she could not figure out why her father wanted the necklace, gently caressing the pieces she wore. Naruto wondered aloud whether Hinata's father had been trying to prevent her mother from thinking of another man, but Hinata dismissed the idea, saying he had married for business reasons. She asked to think about the matter later, and Naruto agreed. When she asked where he wanted to go next, he reminded her of the ice cream idea, and she leaned on him, grateful. Later, they walked the fairgrounds together, each liking an ice cream cone and watching couples enjoy cotton candy and other treats. Naruto noted there were fewer children than he had expected. Hinata suggested they might be at home. Hinata proposed they head back to the penthouse since Sasuke might be staying there that night, and Naruto agreed while continuing to eat his chocolate ice cream. Naruto kissed Hinata's forehead and wished her a happy Valentine's Day, which made her blush. He teased that she looked like she was blushing, and she told him to stop staring as they turned the corner. A group of girls recognized Naruto and gathered around, asking for autographs and shouting playful questions about being his Valentine and even marriage. Naruto put his arm around Hinata and proudly told them he already had a Valentine. The girls cooed, and Sakura pushed them back, telling them to give space. Sasuke then entered the scene. Sakura explained that she and Sasuke had been heading to the bakery and invited Hinata and Naruto to join them. Hinata happily agreed, and Naruto chimed in, likely more interested in the food. Sasuke pointed across the street to the bakery, and Sakura warned everyone to watch for cars. Naruto joked that Sakura was his mom, which made Hinata protest, and Sakura added that Naruto was like a son-in-law, causing Hinata to turn beet red. Naruto opened the bakery door, and Hinata stammered a thanks, hiding her face. Sakura waved them goodbye when she and Sasuke left. Later, Sakura reflected that the relationship between Naruto and Hinata made the whole world jealous and must feel like Cloud 9, while she and Sasuke held hands and enjoyed a quieter closeness. She suggested a visit to the bouncy castle to Sasuke, and he agreed as they walked down the street. Sakura's POV, after the bakery. Sakura waved Naruhina goodbye and thought their relationship seemed enviable in its own way. She leaned on Sasuke, told him he was completely right about their closeness, and asked if he wanted to go on the bouncy castle with her. Sasuke agreed and they walked together. Naruto's POV. Jiraiya called out loudly from the living room that he had great news. Naruto took his headphones out and asked what was happening. Jiraiya announced that Naruto was going on tour again and handed him some papers, explaining that it would be all the way to America and that he would be leaving next week. Naruto protested that he did not want to leave, reminding Jiraiya that he had friends and a girlfriend now. Jiraiya reminded him that they had talked about not getting attached and asked what had changed. Naruto admitted quietly that people had treated him like a real person this time, that they had cared about him and not his fame. Jiraiya urged him to think of it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and suggested they could come back after the tour. Naruto whispered that it would not be the same. Jiraiya pointed to the papers and told him to think about it. Naruto nodded and walked to his car, intending to tell Hinata. He wondered if she might come with him, perhaps accompanying him as Murasaki. At the penthouse, Naruto asked Sakura where Hinata was. Sakura said Hinata was getting ready for a new video in the studio and was fixing her mask while snacking on Twizzlers. Naruto grabbed a Twizzler and went into the studio. Sakura complained that her Twizzler was missing. Naruto called for Hinata as he stepped into the studio. Hinata greeted him cheerfully and said she needed him for a duet because everyone had been asking for one and she wanted to make her viewers happy. Naruto agreed but told her he needed to talk afterward. He set his bag down on the couch. Hinata explained that she wanted to sing a song from Dear Evan Hansen called If I Could Tell Her and that she needed him to sing with her because she would barely sing in the song. Naruto smiled and agreed. Hinata asked Sakura to help film. Sakura scampered into the studio, set the lyrics on a music stand, and prepared the camera. Sakura counted down and hit the record button. Hinata apologized to viewers for not posting lately and introduced Naruto as her duet partner. Naruto waved at the camera. They both took a deep breath and began to sing. After the recording, Hinata thanked Naruto for joining her and he gave a thumbs up. They both waved goodbye to the camera and ended the video. Sakura praised their performance and Naruto told Hinata they needed to talk. He took her hand and led her to the roof for privacy. Naruto reassured her that he was not breaking up with her. Hinata sighed with relief. Naruto handed her the information papers and told her he had been told he was going on tour. Hinata asked with concern if the tour would really last 2 years and whether tours even lasted that long. Naruto confirmed it would be an American tour and that it would span 2 years. Hinata struggled to keep her tears from falling but asked if he was really going to do it. Naruto said that was the question he wanted to ask her and took her hands. Hinata admitted that she did not want him to leave but did not want to be selfish and keep him from an opportunity. She asked if he wanted to do it. Naruto said he would love the opportunity but that leaving everyone here made him reluctant. Hinata urged him to think carefully and said she could tell him that nobody wanted him to leave, but she did not want that to stand in the way of what he wanted. She offered that they could still video call and keep in touch. Sakura popped up unexpectedly and asked what they were talking about. Naruto said it was nothing and stuffed the papers into his bag. Sakura called him suspicious and teased him as they went back inside. Supper was quiet with Sakura trying to keep a conversation going. Sakura eventually demanded to know what they had been talking about. Naruto told them he might be leaving on tour for 2 years. Sakura exploded in shock, practically climbing onto the table. Hinata asked Sakura to calm down, and Sakura replied that Hinata should be the one freaking out. Hinata stood up and said she was going to bed. Sakura, staring out the window, told Naruto that it might sound selfish but she did not want him to leave. She warned that Hinata might struggle with a long-distance relationship and that 2 years could be difficult for her. Naruto defended Hinata's strength, but Sakura insisted that 2 years would be a heavy burden. She pleaded with him not to leave. Naruto stammered that he needed to leave and walked toward the elevator, torn between an opportunity he might never get again and the thought of leaving Hinata and his friends behind. He wondered whether Hinata would be able to handle the separation and whether he would be able to bear it himself. Hinata's POV. I sat on the roof admiring what I liked to call the midnight sun. Although it was the moon, midnight sun sounded deeper. I had been thinking about what Naruto had said. I wanted him to pursue his dream and go on tour, but I desperately wanted him to stay with us. I pulled my knees to my chest and buried my face in them. What if he really did leave? 2 years felt like forever. We would all be graduated by then. What if I had never told him I was Murasaki? Would he think I had lied? I hadn't really lied, I had just hidden a part of myself. It didn't matter now, but I still remembered the days when I used to pray for the things I had. I hadn't wanted to fall in love or need someone, but then he appeared and I found myself wanting him more than anything. I felt selfish for it. Sakura approached cautiously and told me she had brought food. I refused, and she tried to persuade me with a playful remark about an apple a day keeping the doctor away. I responded that an apple could keep anyone away if thrown hard enough. Sakura urged me to eat and tossed some Twizzlers toward me, catching me off guard. She teased that I could never refuse Twizzlers and hippos, and I answered sarcastically that my love for them was obvious. She sat down beside me and reminded me that I hadn't finished my dinner. I asked why she was sitting outside in the cold, and she pointed out that I was outside too. I told her I was bundled in thigh-high socks and 3 blankets. She demanded one and snatched it from me. We laughed, then fell into a long, comfortable silence. I asked if she thought Naruto would really leave. Sakura sighed and explained that it was a huge opportunity for a celebrity, and that Naruto had recently become world-known. Going to America made sense. I muttered that her encouragement was helpful in its own way as I sprawled on the rooftop. She apologized and confessed that the only things that could keep Naruto from leaving were me and her. I asked desperately if I was enough to make him stay. Sakura said she thought I was, and that if I asked him to stay he probably would. I told her I didn't want him to stay if he truly wanted to leave, and asked if I could wait 2 years. Sakura gave me a sympathetic smile, standing to dust off her clothes. She told me that she thought I could wait, but she wasn't sure how lively I'd be during that time. Then she walked back inside. I sighed and stared at the sky. Filming a video might lift my spirits, I thought, so I went to the studio and grabbed a camera before tiptoeing back to the roof. After finding the right angle, I put on my mask and started recording. I greeted my viewers half-heartedly, explained that I might take a break soon, and said I would sing "Angel with a Shotgun" by the cab. I sang, then admitted with a sad giggle that I really had nothing to say and said goodbye before stopping the recording. It was harder to record when there was no one there to give pointers. After uploading the video, I collapsed on my fluffy bed, but I couldn't fall asleep until about 5:30 a.m. The next day the sun peeked through my curtains and I blinked awake. I reached for my phone and panicked when I misread the time, rushing for a uniform before realizing it was Sunday. Sakura, rubbing her eyes, called from down the hall that it was Sunday and went back to bed. Relieved, I changed into day clothes, black leggings, an oversized purple sweater, and brown boots. I told myself I needed to go shopping. At the store I carried a basket and picked up the things we needed, including Twizzlers. A display in the center caught my eye, a poster with Naruto's face announcing his rising fame and plans in America. I checked out quickly and headed home, planning to tell him everything. When I opened the door, Naruto was there and greeted me awkwardly, rubbing the back of his neck. I tried to avoid eye contact and went to set the bags on the counter. He told me he wanted to talk, and I asked to go to the roof, wanting a melodramatic movie moment even though it had started to rain. He said he didn't want to break my heart, reached for my wrist, and told me he wanted to stay. My eyes widened, then dropped to the floor. I asked him quietly not to stay just for my sake. I didn't want him held back from his dream. He explained that he wanted to stay with me, and I told him that I did want him to take the opportunity. He spoke about how he felt he wanted to be with me, and I countered that he was my once-in-a-lifetime chance. They stood there in the rain, both torn between pursuing dreams and holding on to what mattered at home. A quiet pause settled between them as each considered the other's words and the choices ahead. Naruto yelled that he did not want Hinata to give up and pulled her into a warm embrace. Hinata felt her eyes burn with tears. She buried her face deeper into his chest and pleaded with him. Naruto said gently that he did not want to lose her, and Hinata tightened the hug, telling him she would wait for him no matter how long it took. They promised each other, and the next day Naruto left on tour. 2 years later, Hinata asked Sakura to help bring groceries into the dorm room. Sakura agreed and took some bags from the floor while Hinata closed the door behind them. After they put the groceries away, they went to sit on the roof. Sakura remarked that it had been 2 years already and urged Hinata to focus on her career, reminding her that Hinata had just released an album. Hinata admitted that she was grateful but could not stop worrying that Naruto might have forgotten her. Sakura insisted that Naruto could never forget Hinata, but when Hinata asked why he had not texted in 2 years, Sakura fell silent. Sakura then reminded Hinata not to dwell on it and that they were meeting up with the rest of the group later. A lot had happened over the past 2 years. Hinata had revealed her identity, Sakura had gotten into college, Hinata had released an album, and Tenten and Niji had gotten married. Sakura and Sasuke were engaged, though Hinata felt marriage was too soon for some friends only 2 years out of school. Hinata went back inside to get ready to meet everyone. At a cafe, Tenten greeted Hinata warmly and hugged her. Ino ran in excitedly and joined the group, and Shernon shouted to get everyone's attention. Sakura announced that it had been a long time since they had all gotten together. A waiter pointed out dryly that they had all been there 2 days ago. Ino pulled out her phone and told Hinata some news. Naruto was off tour and was coming back to Japan. Shernon asked if he was coming back to their town. Ino said they did not know but that they could hope. Tenten asked Hinata if she was excited, and Hinata felt stunned. Someone suddenly shouted that it was Murasaki, and the group quickly surrounded Hinata to shield her from fans trying to reach her. The girls formed a protective wall as they walked cautiously down the street. Hinata thought about how she had always kept her identity a secret, and how her mask had once been removed by accident when Sakura had tripped on stage. A sarcastic voice called out, and Hinata recognized it. Naruto appeared and smiled at her. The girls behind Hinata stood stunned. Naruto said hello to Hinata and added that he was back. Hinata did not respond with words. She ran up to him and tackled him in a bear hug, crying that he had been gone too long. Naruto apologized and hugged her back. At the penthouse, Shernon asked Naruto about the tour. Naruto said the tour had been great, that he had received many rewards and had learned a lot of English. Sakura asked Naruto if she could speak with him for a minute. Naruto agreed and followed Sakura to the roof. Hinata and the others waited until Sakura and Naruto returned. Ino greeted Naruto and teased him about being back. Naruto then asked Hinata if he could talk to her, and they went to the roof together. Naruto sat Hinata down and asked nervously if something was wrong between them, admitting that he had not seen her in 2 years and was worried she might not like him anymore. Naruto confessed that his feelings had not changed and that he had thought about her every day. Hinata confirmed that his feelings mattered to her as well. Naruto blushed, and Hinata reassured him. Sakura watched them from the balcony with Sasuke. She reflected that neither she nor Sasuke were the type for overly sappy displays, but she found herself moved by seeing Naruto and Hinata together. She thought about how time and distance could not separate people who cared for each other. Distance was only as far as the hearts allowed. Sakura encouraged Naruto silently, believing that if he wanted to be with Hinata, he should go for it.